Here we are with another Saturday Night Live, March 21st. First full day of spring of 2020 with clear, perfect vision. This is the year, folks, as we were talking about. So, what are we going to do? Focus on the PLAF. Focus on the PLAF. Hope you guys in the States, I hope you're well armed.
Only that we are. That we are.
Now, I just read the thing here in Ontario. If you don't practice social distancing, you get $1,000 fine. Businesses, 500 up to 500,000.
There's no business left. They shut everything down.
Focus on the PLAF, folks. This is the time for metamorphosis for Mother Earth and for humanity to move into that peace, balance, correct conduct phase, which is the only way we're going to move forward. There's no other option left. You're going to still have people scrambling around doing all kinds of bull crap and everything, but peace, balance, correct conduct is the only thing that's going to win. And
they got a freaking military in the streets down here now.
Yeah. It's just crazy. People have fallen for this, around the globe on a simple no common sense announcements of this frickin' virus is supposedly killing, whatever amount of people, which is minuscule compared to any other outbreak that's been happening, but it is what it is.
You're looking at sheer numbers. You got to look at the mortality percentages, and it's way up. It's 40 times that of the flu. So whatever it is, it's killing a lot more.
How did you figure that?
Because there's so many millions more that get the flu. The percentages of the death rate to the infected.
Well,
that's the number to look at, not the sheer numbers.
So many more get the flu. That means the flu's more contagious.
Yes.
So
I'm just looking at death
60
rate.
to what, 100,000 in North America average every year die of the flu.
Yeah.
So we're not nowhere near that yet in the realm.
Not in sheer numbers, but in percentages, we're beyond it.
If they are deaths contributed to what they're saying it is, right?
Well,
that's another story. See,
that's a whole other story.
Everything's being stamped with corona. Anything with that, anything, whatever. They're sick. Corona, death, corona. So anyway, I don't buy into it. I know there's something in the air. They've definitely been spraying. I've had the chills for a couple of days. So we'll just continue on my dry fasting. But there's definitely something going around.
That's what I'm to the second day dry fast, so I'm fine. So
you need to be wise, and the people that are most vulnerable are anybody who's on pharmaceutical drugs, for sure. And if they've been on them for a while, they're going to be more vulnerable. And, Italy stated 99% of the deaths had previous health issues and were on some kind of pharmaceutical. 99. To me, that's 100% pharma cartel. You go to the hospital, you get treated, goodbye, Jack. Doctors are the third leading cause of death. Drugs are the fourth leading cause of death, which they prescribe. So we can look at the numbers any way you want. You can jiggle them however you want. This is not a pandemic in my eyes. And if you are in a healthy state, you do prudent things, you should be able to easily clear this if so-called virus becomes part of your system, right? There shouldn't be any issue at all worrying about this stuff. We have so many tools to use and to implement and help other people and so on and so forth. There's no issue. The big issue is here is they're fucking locking everybody down. And once people can't move, that's going to be the problem. Not the what they're saying it is. Come on, think about it. This can go on for months. So what are we going to do? Well, for now, start preparing. They just shut down the state of California the other day. The state of New York yesterday. It's locked down. Can't go outside. So if it's coming to your neighborhood soon, are you prepared to, you know, um, sustain yourselves? That's the key. You're gonna be able to sustain yourselves. And the less is more lifestyle will allow people to thrive in these situations, not survive, thrive. You know, what happens when you fast? You get healthier, right? It's through the art of subtraction. But you need to be prepared to some degree. And this is the sad part, that people wait till, the situations happen and then they're scrambling to get prepared. I've been buying extra stuff, because I have to take care of my mother and the caretaker and so on and so forth, caregiver. Just some juice and some herbs and other stuff, and you go for many, many, many months. Not a problem. You don't have to ever leave the house. If it comes to that, they lock you down like they did in China. They seal your doors. What are you gonna do? And then the word was now that they're going in, many of these people that they locked in their homes are dead, face down. So who knows what's going on? But anyway, live in the fear or live in the light. Choice is yours, right? Choice is yours. The more you live into fear, the more you're in the what's it called, fight or flight stage in your system. And if you stay in that stage too long, it breaks down your health. It's only designed, your body's only designed to take those in small increments. Every once in a while you get in a fight or flight situation, and no problem. But we're being bombarded by microwaves and this and cell towers and that and stimulants here and there and left and right and center and computers. A lot of people are living in a fight or flight phase most of their lives right now, and that's what you're seeing. People get this little whatever it is and they're dropping dead. But there's many ways to look at it. I've watched tons of stuff of all different views, and it's very interesting what's going on, and why this is actually happening and why they're doing this. We don't have an answer. We can't verify anything. It's all hearsay until you can verify it yourselves, ourselves. It's all hearsay. So what's the truth? Eventually it's all going to come out. This is the year of clear, perfect vision, and nothing can be hidden anymore for any length of time, like they did for decades and longer, and maybe millennia. But stick to the basic principles of this lifestyle and you'll be fine. Like, you go into stores now, some places are, the shelves are emptying out, and other places they're stocked up. The smaller stores, all the fruits and veggies are full. All the other stuff is being emptied out very quickly. All the stuff you can store, the paper stuff and the foods, and rice, beans, canned goods, and so on and so forth. It is what it is. Today they had a nice sale on organic dried apricots. So we bought a bunch of those and stuff like that. Dates, raisins. These are things that, if you are in a state where your healing reactions are too much, you want to break your fast, you got something. Soak them and break them with that, and continue using the tools of the protocol to keep moving things out, because that's the key for breaking a fast, is not to get nutrition in your body. It's to move out all the things the fast has loosened up. The body's actually done the work to loosen up during the fast, and we want to move them out. And that's the number one goal of breaking a fast, is moving out the loosened up obstructions, nothing else. So we want to have the foods that go through us the quickest and easiest. And for different people, it will be a little bit different, but fruit generally is the easiest overall. Some people can get away with like a stewed spinach or something like that. They or homemade sauerkraut with low salt or whatever, and that'll help move them. And others, that stuff will not move through. So be prudent and be wise and listen to your body. And you should know your body by now, what moves through you easier. But this is a time for praise. Mother Earth is getting her fast, which was much needed, and she's recovering very quickly in certain areas where they're having these lockdowns and so on and so forth. So we have to look at the positive side of things. In the meantime, how long can they hold us out for? How long are people going to be able to take this? I don't know. We'll see how it goes on, depending on where you are around the world and so on and so forth. But Philippines is also locked down. That's a hot country. I can't understand what's going on there. Viruses usually don't surface until it's colder weather. And do these viruses exist? I don't know, because they're not a living entity. And the information is available is more to the side as like a detox symptom and of a product of our cells when we detox. And if you check anybody randomly, you will find viruses in everybody, pretty much, is my understanding. And some, you feel more than others, and it's only a detox. Like, what does cold do when we get cold weather? Everybody starts getting sick, right, quote unquote, because cold induces and helps with detoxification to some degree. It allows the body to purge. And it's very, very easy to fall in the trap of believing that the viruses are the problem, if there is such a thing, and remove the focus on everything is in the terrain, the environments. Everything is in the terrain. That's really what you need to stay focused on and have an understanding for that. It's always the terrain. Yeah, if you take in poison, certain amounts, you will cease to exist. Okay, there's certain different things, but you're affecting the terrain with something that we're not able to handle. But viruses, bacterias, our bodies are full of them. They're full of them. It's not something that is new to us. They've always existed and always been around. Kurt, who knows, stats aren't always true. Yeah, no kidding. You can make stats any way you want, right? You can change the numbers in anybody's favor, pretty much. Wizards with math, they can do anything with those numbers. So how do you interpret it is another thing. You have to understand and read between the lines. Like, Steve's saying one thing and I'm saying another thing. But I'm just saying, this you can do this with numbers, right? You look at them many different ways. Are there people dying? Of course there's people dying. And, it's not nice when people have to go, but we all understand we're born and we're all going to go one day, right? We're all going to jump the fence. So if it happens and it's our time, we embrace that and jump for joy. We're not going to be pondering on it because it is what it is. And, like I said, it averages plus or minus 1 million people a day that are dying on the planet. You can check. There's a world birth and death calculator, and you can see the numbers going up and down, and you can watch it. What are they stating about these deaths true? I don't buy anything 100% of what they're saying, that's for sure. That's challenging times for the whole world. Anybody hear what's happening down in the South America or anything? Or uh, some of the islands or anything? I haven't heard anything down there. Any cases down there?
I got a friend who I think flew back yesterday, Aruba. They had 2 cases, obviously came in.
Where's that?
Aruba,
Oh, Aruba. Okay.
off of, I think it's off Venezuela.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, the islands are definitely getting it.
Caribbean. Are they visitors or are they locals?
No, it's visitors.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's coming in on the planes.
Yeah.
I got my neighbors in Florida, goes to Florida for the summer. He's coming back on the 5th. He canceled his original. This is where everything's at. He canceled his original flight back, and he purchased another one, $22. There's nobody flying. I mean, it's shut down everything. Whether it's natural, unnatural, doesn't matter. It's all designed. What I just posted. It's all designed to provide, my belief, to just provide cover because everything's collapsing. The financial paradigm we're in is just collapsing. It cannot hold up under its weight any longer. I mean, look at what they're doing. Germany, 10% of their GDP they're going to pump. We're pumping 2 trillion. 2 trillion of out of thin air. So
it just keeps going.
it's just insanity. But it gives perfect cover. If you think about it, it gives perfect cover for everything. You collapse the system. You put the military on the streets. It empowers the power structure more. It forces everybody to run to the government for help. I mean, it's a it's a perfect freaking design, if you ask me. It really is.
It's a brilliant psychotic plan.
It's brilliant. This has been going on for a long time, and to see it come to fruition, it's like, oof, man.
Who would have ever thought they'd be doing it with a virus? You know.
You know, the worst thing is that it's been in the process for a long time. I mean, at least since the inception of the Federal Reserve, which was in 1913, and to have people, human beings, know that they're not going to live to see the outcome, and yet still perpetuate the whole paradigm. It's just, I mean, that's the epitome of evil. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's where we're at, I think. I could be wrong. That's what I see.
We still have to, we don't have to, but if we want to move forward, like I said, as humanity, we got to go into peace, balance, correct conduct. Isn't there, let's go, you know, if you go to the scenario, all martial law, all these guys on the streets, what kind of life are they living?
It's been like that throughout the history of man, though. You didn't go back through history. It doesn't matter. It's man. It's the failure of mankind to evolve.
Insanity, man.
I mean, if you go back and look at it, it's just every empire follows the same freaking roadmap, and they collapse. We have, especially here in the United States, we have followed Rome to a T. Everything Rome did, we've done, and the outcome. Except now we have the ability to wipe out the whole freaking planet.
Yep. There's so much crap going on. It's just like, whoa, man. You know what they're.
Well, it makes you really wonder if for me, I mean, this might be getting out there a little bit, but are these people in the power structure even human?
Reptiles.
Well, I couldn't do that to a fellow human being. I don't think anybody here could. People that I know couldn't do what's going on. I haven't met a person that would have that capability in my lifetime, and yet they exist. So who knows? Something to ponder.
Yeah, well, the the thirst of power, the thirst of greed, the thirst to control. It's a very strong addiction to some people, very strong. And we're seeing the implications, and we've been seeing it around the planet for a long time. Greed is man's fall. And we got people fighting in the freaking stores for toilet paper.
Wow. Sanity, isn't it? Toilet paper.
Have your freaking toilet paper. Don't need it.
No.
Anyway, anybody want to share anything positive?
Oh, who says this isn't positive? We need a cleansing. It's absolutely positive. Go forward with no fear. If we don't survive, we don't survive.
Yeah, exactly. Hands, percentage of infected to death. Worldwide, 4.26. China, 4. And Italy, 9%. Divine 9, huh? Okay.
760 something yesterday. They're just getting hammered over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every 10 minutes in New York City right now, every 10 minutes somebody's dying.
There was this past fall, in the zones that are being hit the hardest, the provinces in Italy. Okay, this past fall, there was a real huge flu vaccine campaign.
There you go.
Coincidence. Yeah. My grandmother was 94 or 5, never had the flu vaccine. Everybody convinced her to get one. She lasted not many months after. Her sister's still alive. She's 102 in a couple of months. Her brother's 97. My great uncle and aunt. So I don't know, man. It's a lot of coincidences. A lot of them.
Well, that's really kicked up. I listen to the radio back and forth on the way to work, and they're really hammering these vaccines. I mean, the advertisement has just exploded in the middle of this. They're trying to gear everybody into just willingly take the stupid thing when it comes.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna probably if they get their way, if there's not enough PLAF, they'll get their way, and they'll strap people down at gunpoint and inject you.
Yeah.
You know, if we don't continuously focus on that PLAF and build on it and build on it and build on it, because the power of emotion and intent, don't underestimate it. That's when you're working in the state of the divine, where everything's possible. And you just need to keep that focus clear and strong, and PLAF everything and everybody you see continuously. That's all that should be on our minds right now. Sending the PLAF.
Mm-hmm.
And allowing that energy to permeate every single soul on this planet, because there's no time space for these fields. And these fields are powerful, very powerful. If you look at the 100th monkey syndrome, if everybody knows what that is, you know, the 4-minute mile, these are examples very clear of the power of intent and emotion. The 4-minute mile, they said it was impossible. One man breaks it. I think it was within a week, several people around the world broke it. And, you know, it's simple things. These fields and people come to the new understanding. Okay, 4 minute mile is not impossible to break. Simple. Hello, Margaret. Hello, Gabriella, Ross, Sarah, Hans, Kurt, Brittany. So is everybody prepared to, if they lock us up for months and months? Very good. Very good. And, if I can only tell you what I would do if you feel that you're getting something or whatever, the last place you want to go is to the hospital. Last place. So being under quarantine and being used as a guinea pig, it's not fun. Not fun. Stay in your home and use the tools. Like I said, if it's time to go, embrace it. But don't be fearful. It'll pass. Most people should be able to get through this with all the tools we have. 99.9% people should be able to get through this very, very easily. So far, all the people from Thursday, what we heard, that have been using the Cup of Life GANs that had been, affected by this corona, they call it, have all recovered and they're doing well. One little simple tool. So finally had my friend come over to start working on the bathroom upstairs. Been waiting for this for ages. Comes today. So I'm pumping the house with ozone, and protecting everybody. But yeah, it's strange. You can cut the fear in the air anywhere you go. You go to stores, you see people moving away from you. So it's interesting what's going on. But
yeah, you're not allowed to smile right now.
No. I had a woman go off on me yesterday in the store. Oh, she went crazy. She left her cart in the middle of the road, and I just kind of moved it. She went freaking ballistic. You can't touch my cart. I'm like, you can't leave it in the middle of the road. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, she went off. I said, just calm down. Take it easy. I'm better because I didn't respond, so I'm better.
wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. See all these people wearing masks. A mask ain't going to help you.
No.
Probably make it worse.
Yes.
If there is such a thing, just concentrates in the area and then they touch it with their fingers, and whatever. Like if the environment is conducive to accept it, there you go. But I don't know. I don't know if I can buy this whole virus thing.
I go back to I believe it was designed in a lab. So
yeah, no, there's definitely something.
Like a true virus, I don't know. Probably not. I mean, obviously it's not if it's been engineered, but it's engineered.
There's something going on. That they can implement things with certain frequencies.
Yeah, no, then they hit the 5G on top of it.
Yeah. So if you know Raymond Rife, how he used frequencies to eradicate certain diseases in people. He ended up becoming an alcoholic because they raped him financially. They shut him down, and
look what they did to Tesla.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But
same thing.
The frequencies. See, from my understanding, speaking with a friend of mine, frequencies he used, even if you use this exact same frequency now, it won't work. Won't work. We're in a different times frame of how they measure time and so on and so forth. So they won't work. People are still selling this stuff and so on and so forth. You got to be careful with frequencies because, when we were doing a few experiments for a couple of years, man, some nasty stuff we had happen to a couple of friends of ours, and one of my friends almost died. So you got to be very careful. That's why I don't like to even use the word frequency, but this is what they use. And if you just think, if you can use a frequency to destroy a certain organism, don't you think you can use a certain frequency to create one?
Mm-hmm.
So, it is what it is. But there's definitely something going on, and the fear is allowing these things that were created or are natural, whatever, to be stronger because the fear feeds them. And that's why it's more important than ever now to always wake up in the morning, jump for joy, thank the divine for, another day, and send PLAF to the planet, and do that as much as you can throughout the day. That's all we can do. Especially if we're all locked up in cocoons in our homes. But that is a lot, has infinite potential. Just understand that. Understand the potential of intent and emotion. Intent and emotion is creation. Which is the stronger field? Intent and emotion to destroy, or intent and emotion to create and bring balance?
Always create.
Always creation, right? Always. Don't let these negative things put fear in you. The fear is there to, they use the fear because they know it empowers them. Whatever it is. Yeah. Hello, iPhone.
Yeah, Steve, like with the percentages, of course you can twist and turn them as you like. And I did this morning just a death rate against infected people. And yeah, worldwide it's just about 4.26%.
Yeah.
Italy had 9% and China had 4.01. But if you want to talk the virus, there's enough historical data for all other countries that China and South Korea already have established. They got history on it, even if it's only for 6 weeks or so. But there's their data that, and China hasn't had cases yet for 2 days. If that's right or wrong, who knows? But if you take it as a fact, and all of the comments that I had out of China, because I deal with China quite a lot, is that things have normalized, but a lot of heavy lockdown measures are still in place. But when you see that there's historical data, and we don't compare that even here in Australia, they lock down beaches now and da. But you see that the authorities don't work on, get your facts first and see what you really have to do. You can't stop something like that. And that if anybody thinks that it's not man-made, he should go and live on the moon. This is just absolute ludicrous.
Yep.
And they tried that for nearly 40 years now to bring viruses in.
Yeah.
And every time they try to make it stronger, more determined, that it kills more people. But every time nature runs against them, because when they throw it out, think about in China now, they thought when it came out of that Wuhan virology center that they've got there, you would thought that it would sweep through China like no one's business, but it really didn't. And I think they must have been very disappointed, the deep state that tries to implement that. And then you see that it then hits other populations like Iran and Italy and Spain. But as I go with China, because it depends on environment dictates outcome. So the environment is more conducive, and if they have been heavily vaccinated, and that's what the whole vaccination movement is, weaken people so they're more vulnerable to be killed. If anybody hasn't knows that there's Agenda 21 officially since 1992 that we need to control population. Yeah, of course we can all have willful ignorance, but how long do you want to ignore? How long do you want to and be dictated? The fear. I mean, then back to the fear of this virus. I mean, how much does that lower even your immune system furthermore? Because you don't put any resilience against, because you're in fear of it. And that's when I think everybody that master fast understands that when you clear and when field strength increases and your cell resistance increases, that is a shield that you have against stuff like that. I don't know, it makes sense or not, but that's what I feel. So why? Yes, that, and what we do here is not medically approved and is not medically this and all this and scientifically and all that.
Thank goodness.
Hey, who gives a shit? Because at the end you feel it in your inside yourself. But that's what you, and that's the only thing. Help yourself, because I can support, but I can't help anybody else. Like, I mean, I had now daily phone calls with my mother and sisters back home in Switzerland, which I hit very hard too. And then I don't lockdown that there's no more gathering more than 5 people. All right. If there's more than 5 people, they'll penalise you. They'll actually have, and that, the Swiss are very good in that. They police that very well. So there's in front of every shop, there's people that actually count how many people are going in, and you can't, and then you have to spread out. And then at the cash register, there's all marked out how far distance has to be done and all that. You know, in no time, all of a sudden, this is all happening. And that fear, I mean, my sister was absolutely hard hit this week, and she's very high in meditation and all that, and she let it come into her, and she completely collapsed on that. You know, she could not believe, and she was so drawn and shut down. And I said to her, that's exactly what this is about. Because if they want to decimate population, that's the very simple of it. You can go and, I mean, go on the internet and look for it, but that's really what it comes down to, because they're overpopulated, overpolluting and plundering the planet, and they need to stop that for their own sake. Even the cabal, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, they want to implement that there's a decimation of people. I don't know if they ignite the nukes, blow the whole lot up. For the environment, the biosphere, not so beneficial either. So how else are you going to kill that many people? How else do you want to go back to 3 billion people? It's only virus is the only answer that you have. Can't tell you not to make kids anymore. Nobody listens to that. But then the thing is, we have a consumption or a materialistic and consuming society that relies, and the system itself, and it's where, yes, it comes to collapse, because you can't have, the financial system is corrupt to the state that you can't, it cannot be equally distributed, or it only benefits a minority, and everybody else goes in debts, and debts, and debts, and debts, as we have. But who are we in debts to? Who do we owe the money? As I said, they pull the money out of thin air, and then the money that the moral obligation that they put then on you, they then can capitalize on, but it just goes back into thin air. So there's nobody's out of pocket, really, when you think about it. But anyway, and it's too complex for anybody to understand. So that's a thing that, and because we're so smart, we try, as I said, from a mathematical point of view, we make it even more complicated. We're not making it easy. Have you found that since you are alive, that anything has become simpler? Less complicated? Yes, devices and household appliances and all the rest of it, that has simplified. But the system itself has gone more and more crazy and into what? Into complication. And what do we do in this realm? Less is more. Simplicity is where the answers lie. And that's it. And that's for the whole humanity. But we don't do that. So there's your dilemma that you got here. It's a real dilemma. Because we're so used to consuming, we think about these old stops now. So how many people out of work can't pay bills and so on, living on their paychecks week by week, and now this is all getting stopped. So how does that happen? So there's anarchy coming, you know, for sure. For sure. The weapon's coming out. And people killing each other for toilet rolls or for whatever it is, for a can of worm or whatever. Who gives a shit? That is not a liberating. That is completely being enslaved even more. But what does it do? Reduce people. Great. Fantastic. So let's do that, you know. But as I said, if you would, and that's what do we call this? PLAF. Plasma law of always flowing. What do we do? Deposit energy fields into the universe. That's what can combine. I mean, that's a belief, all right? And that's what can, like, look at how many people, I mean, I can show you a little clip in Switzerland. They stand on the balconies now twice a day and clap their hands, you know what I mean? Just to salute the people that are actually fighting this virus. And you can hear it all in the city, all over, you know what I mean? So that's field strength that is created. That would be the only way that we could stand up to the system that we have. But the real drawback is we don't have an alternate. What's the alternate? Well, okay, we shut capitalism and we just open up liberalism or whatever you want to call it, but it's not there. It doesn't exist. So there's no alternate. But the only, you know, that's why I think this whole movement here is the only alternate that you actually have. You know what I mean? That's the only alternate. Where is it? Reflect in the mirror. Where is your other alternate to this system that is in place?
There is no.
There ain't any. It would have to be established, and it would have to come from people that stand up in field strength, combined, and say, enough's enough. Like, think about the Yellow Jackets, how they have started in France and has spread. We have them down here. In America, they are. They weren't quantifying what they really want because they couldn't. One thing for sure, we had enough of it. Enough's enough of what we're getting served up every single day, the inequality that's in slavery and all the rest of it. So that is something they made a movement, and everybody else that stopped it, eventually Soros paid people to be in the Yellow Jackets and go and fight against them to stir them up himself, you know what I mean? So there you can see there's establishment that does that. But at the end of the day, it's just the human nature that comes out and says, enough's enough now. We had enough, you know. But then they throw a virus on like that and everybody goes back in their cubby holes. Yeah. Instead of standing up, field strength, we fight this. This can't harm us. Sorry.
It stops everything, all these movements.
Yeah. That's true. You know, you can't even protest. But how do you want to protest if there's a lockdown, but you can't, in Switzerland, more than 5 people together, they'll come and eventually they'll shoot you for it. You know what I mean? Like they have to, because they have to implement it. I mean, that's how silly this whole thing is. And I say that is anarchy, and it starts and it will go on. For how long? Look, let's see. Because unfortunately, the virus didn't kill as many as they wanted. So it's flattening, you know, like China has shown this. That's what I'm saying. The historical history is there. It'll end up exactly everywhere the same, because the power of the weapon they put against it, they threw out, is not strong enough. But because of all people's different level of environment they got inside themselves, it will hit some harder than others. So fully vaccinated people that got all the flu shots and every other shot that you can have, good luck to them. Good luck to them, you know, because that's what it is. And now they want, obviously they want to bring out another vaccine against this virus. Good luck, you know what I mean? Like at the end, it just, where does it stop? When do we actually stand up? But you can only, as I said, look for yourself. And that's what I'm saying. That's the dilemma we have. There's no alternate. The alternatives that are around are too small to make an impact.
Yep.
So really, you know, but look, let's see. Because at the end, I don't know. We're not here forever. Simple as that. And that's another thing too. Like I said, look, my sister, she's a diabetic. Okay, she's 61 year old, now 62 now. So she's really compromised in her whole system. She's obese, morbid obese, all the stuff. And I said to her, but she's a Christian, all right? I said, well, what's the last chapter? What's the last chapter in the Bible called? The
Revelation.
The Revelation. I can't forget that thing. The Revelation. I said, look into Revelation. We're all got to go. Even from your belief, you got to go. Why making yourself stupid? If it's a virus, then that's your revelation. End of the day. Come in peace with it. And I'm not trying to be negative, but have the reality showing you and saying, that's what it is, surrender. Surrender to it, because it's the only chance you actually got. Because the more you dig yourself into a cubbyhole, the less chance you've got. Because the more open, the more vulnerable you are, the less field strength. Whatever it is you have, that's what you need. That's as simple as that. That's just the reality. And I'm not saying to be negative or trying to mock this up or whatever, but that's really what it comes down to. Why did 2/3 of the population with the black pest got wiped out and 1/3 survived? You know, like think about it. It's just, it all depends environment. And we work so hard on the environment here to increase the field strength, and that's really what it comes down to. You know? So I'd say, don't let yourself get stupid on that, and try but you see, how do I stand? So should I go in front of the store and tell everybody to calm down? Well, they're telling me to get basically nicked. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like if they want their toilet paper rolls. So it's a bit hard. So it's you know what I mean? So you can't go up there with a flag and say, you know, it's all good, you know what I mean? Increase your energy strength. So people have to open up. But you got to spread the word. That's all you can do. You can only spread the word and tell them and live it. And that's it, you know? So, because otherwise, you know, like, I mean, obviously, if you want to be in the newspaper, go and do it, you know what I mean? But at the end, it doesn't help anybody, you know? But you can see that even everything else is now suppressed, because it's funny, isn't it? And now everybody buys it that this is a virus, so we can't do nothing about it. Yes, we can. We can tell the bloody establishment not to throw it into the population. But is that going to happen? 2 chances, none are Buckley's for that, you know. So
if people move out of the fear and the knowing that, yeah, some of us are going to die, who cares? Let's live our lives. And, you know, the people that get it, you know, we help them as best we can, and that's all we can do. This is insanity being locked up. It's a catch-22. And it's, I mean, look, time will all get us through all of this, you know what I mean? Like that's, because you can't, see, that's another thing. That when they do this and manipulate and create weapons in their laboratories, they can't kill nature. You see, doesn't matter how many nukes you ignite and want to do, you can't kill nature. Nature will take care of it again. Takes a few million years, whatever. It'll take care of it, and it'll dissolve it, and it keeps going and keeps going, because you can't stop the cycle of that. Where was that?
Yeah.
In Chernobyl, the accident in Chernobyl. There's this. They found everything's regrown, but.
Yeah.
Right where the strongest radiation is, there's this black
mold
that's eating.
The radiation. So you see that there are things, and we think we're so smart, and then nature just does it. Just that's what I'm saying. We can't understand it, and that's where I find that so very frustrating when people try to better nature. And you can't do it. It's simple as that.
Yeah, but
so surrender to it. You know?
It's the fasting state. The earth, no difference. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. It takes care of itself. It goes back to balance. It's the only thing it can do. It's the only thing it's programmed to do, is be in that peace, balance, correct conduct, you know, state. They can't do anything else. But we as humans, with our free will, this is what we can do. We can destroy everything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very
frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very.
And it's, as I said, you just got to bite your lip and just steer through it and stay clear and work on help yourself more and more, and don't let it like I said, when I talk to my sisters, you know, to calm them down and just to give a few other perspectives. And yes, it does help if they can watch another video about this and watch a video about that. But all this is really something that you have to, you know, like they have to be open to it. I said to my second oldest sister, I said, how can I help you if you're not willing to open up and to not listen to you know, not listen to all that panic making, you know what I mean? It's very hard. You got to open up and understand and be willing to, how should I say, surrender to it. That's the first thing. You got to surrender to it. I can't change it. it's going to happen the way it's happened, and that's it, because it has to happen. So I surrender to that, and then I see how can I now improve my strength, because you're in a weakened state. So you got to improve your strength, and then how do you do that? Okay, well, let's go to the pharmacy and get 10 million tablets and throw it down our throat. Okay, go do that. Go and do all your vaccinations, and then see. Then you can judge things. But if you never try, you never know. And when you know, then you understand when you start doing something, want to make a change, then you can always, then you have references. That's what I'm saying. Then you have actually references inside yourself that talk to you, and they and they can help you if you're on the right path or not. And if you're in a group like we have here, then you can always bring that and share that and make it compare. Am I on the right track? Is it helping me or is it not helping me? And that's where you can make, and then if you like it, good. If you don't, then do something else. There's now many ways to skin the cat if that's what you want to do. Simple as, you know. Like, so at the end, you can't, you know, it's, and that's why we're so different. It's where you can see how different sensitivities are in our humans, how it attacks other countries much harder, but there's always a reason for it. And I think that reason you got to, you know, have consider as well. But how can we scientific? See, remember, we want to have everything scientifically proven, but even if I show you that scientifically proven that smoking gives you lung cancer, I still want to do it. You know, you can't tell me what to do. Yeah. So what's all this mumbo jumbo if you then don't want to change anyway? You know, like at the end, and it's the same with these viruses. If you still think that you have to go like that, they need a vaccine. I need the vaccine, otherwise I'll get killed. I need a vaccine. Oh, then go and get your vaccine. That's the way it is, you know. If you don't want to listen to anything else. So yeah, not easy. It's hard times, you know. And as I said, when I see with family that how they suffer and how they, I nearly capitulate on it. I think, holy shit, you know, like, yeah. But I can't, isn't it? How can I share my strength to them? I can't put it into them. I can't force it into them. I don't know. That's where we all have to share.
Everybody that gets affected, a small percentage die, whatever number it is. Not everybody dies. Why? You have to ask why. Why doesn't everybody die? Because there's a lot of factors involved, right? And it's just like any other of these so-called plagues that came, whatever. Not everybody dies. And in nature, how does nature, you know, continue? It is designed for only the strong to survive, to carry on its species, right? It's the way it works. And it's always worked that way, and it continued to always work that way. If you look at wild plants, you know, they do that wonderfully on their own. You get cultivated plants and go put them in the wild, see how long they last. They're wiped out, gone, because they're weakened because of our intelligence of making them better, right?
Yeah, correct. I mean, look, humanity has survived because of their adaptability. You can adapt to different environments. Yeah. And that's where really the answer lies, you know, like that's why we learned how to live like the Eskimos out in the cold, you know, or as I said, in the jungle. Wherever it's hot, wherever it's cold, we have learned to adapt to it. Yeah. But it took how long to do so? You know, like a lot of people get killed. They can't cope with that. They have trouble, you know. Oh, the other thing is, you know, that thing about even with the virus, you know, that you kill all the coronavirus by just increasing your nasal or your sinuses temperature by up to 56 degrees. You know, follow that. So you got a hairdryer at home. Well, all right, let's go and do it. You know, like there's proven evidence that kills. And there was a book, one was in 1984, came out showing that just by increasing, because yes, coronavirus don't like the hot. They die when it gets hot.
But so, this is the thing. How are people getting infected in the hotter climates?
Well, that's where the engineering comes in. That's all.
Well, if is that what it is? I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that's another protective mechanism, you know, that you can implement. But again, you know, you got to, you know, there's so much to share, and then, you know, like at the end, where to start and where to finish. Yeah, like, huh. And then everybody has a different take on it as well, you see. It's hard. Right. I'm just saying, I mean, in general, I mean, like, you know, yourself, like, I've even, that's, there's enough proof that when you heat up, look, pasteurization. Remember? When Louis Pasteur said, let's heat the milk up to yay degrees, kills all the bacteria. Yes, it kills it from a certain point, but it then transforms into something else. But that's why everybody pasteurizes liquids, you know what I mean, where there's bacteria in it. So I'm just saying, so you can see it does. And so it's the same with when you have viruses. So they have that established with coronaviruses, that they're very, very sensitive to heat. So the hotter it gets, the less they like that. The colder it gets, what's the coldest place in our body? Is our sinuses, nose. Where you breathe in, you know, the back of your throat, that's where it is. So if you do that, hairdryer, blow it in, spray a bit of thing so you don't get burned, and do that for 5 minutes, they say. Yeah. And then do it and after an hour again, do that 5 times a day. They reckon you safe as gold, not getting infected. But again, you know, and if you promote that can you promote it through main media? No money in a hairdryer, is there? Oh, the hairdryer business goes up. Yeah, the manufacturers are saying thank you very much. But I'm just saying. So there's all sorts of different possibilities when you look at it, yeah. And I'm sure, I mean, yeah, Gina has looked quite hard over the days, you know, into all sorts of different things. And yeah, you find all sorts of stuff. But the fact is, the fear is what really is gives control to the establishment. You know, that's really to the deep side. And really does.
Virus.
Yeah. You know, throwing viruses at people, and then. But as I said, what's the you know, and the big agenda is, yeah, population control. They don't want they don't want all of us to die, no, but they want us just, you know what I mean? What's easier? Control small groups or large groups? Can't make 100% of the people happy 100% of the time, and as larger the group it gets. Impossible, you know. And remember, the other thing I like also is in our society, what is the disobedience in our society was never a problem. It's the obedience that we have to the system is what is the problem. Creates exactly where we are. That's why we're here where we are right now, because of the obedience that we show. Yep. If we would have been more, think about it, how even indigenous in America, the Red Indians were disobedience against, but when they had a treaty, they stuck to it. Who broke the treaty? 100% the United States. The Indians never broke a treaty. So they showed obedience to when you agreed to something. But apart from that, they were all disobedience because they had a coerciveless society. You don't put coercion on people. Simple as that. Look that up. Yeah.
I'm going to see if this works. And people can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi. I promised myself I was going to have enough courage to introduce myself. I'm Barbara Weinstein. Hi. I live in Hollywood, Florida. And yeah, when I read Arnold Ehret's book, that was about 1968, something like that. And that book just was glowing. I couldn't put it down. And I started playing with fasting, and I was amazed at the flexibility and endurance. You know, I saw so much value to that. And I thought I want to do great things in this life. And had Jesus fasted, and Mohammed and Buddha and Pythagoras, the mathematician, and I want to do this too. And I feel like I have a lot to share. I started doing this Buddhist practice in 1968 too. I met a Japanese woman who was an atomic bomb survivor, even though it had created a sickness in her blood from the radiation. And I came from a Holocaust survivor. And I was really withdrawing from life at that time. And here's this Japanese lady saying, all right, I'm going to show you the power that we all have to turn what's poison in our lives into medicine. We're going to do this. I had been documented as a child that didn't have the ability to smile or laugh. And one of the things I get to do now sometimes is I lead laughter yoga circles. And in Toastmasters, I've won numerous speech contests. And from someone who wasn't going to survive into my 30s, I have a beautiful condo and I have amazing children. I have a grandchild who's awesome. I got 4 scholarships to do graduate work having to do with social transformation and conflict resolution. But what I want to share more than anything is the basis of this Buddhist practice, the one that came out of World War II, is that a change in one human being, that we're going to do our own human revolution, can change the world, that we're so much more creative and powerful than we ever realized. And I found that in pretty much the same time I was seeing the power behind fasting. And right now, like, friends and I are meeting at the ocean and jumping in with the sun coming up, and feeling how healthy and how strong that makes us feel. And I chant nam yo ho renge kyo, nam yo ho renge kyo, with this idea that the concept that I love, that in the past people always pointed fingers outside, it's, we got to take this government down, we got to take these people down. We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to realize how creative each one of us are, and we're going to do our own human revolution. And I get to hear this professor talking about his daughter had been quarantined for 14 days. But he said in their whole lifetime, she's a teenager. So they had the best conversation they had this week, with what's going on. And I've been trying to talk to people forever about using bidets instead of, I know about that, instead of cutting down all these trees for toilet paper, and and being more one with nature, and that kind of faith in our mission. And I was excited to hear that this virus wasn't taking down children. I thought that was so great, like people over the 80s and up, and it's like, yeah, there's some people that might be going, all right, I'm out of here. But yeah, what it's doing, that children in Florida, they don't have to go through all that standardized testing right now. I just heard the president say that today. That's been torturing children and moms that are now having to figure out, and dads, how to stay home with their kids and make the day wonderful. And there's so much good can be coming out of this, and yeah, what you were saying, nature getting to take a break, from pollution going down. So today's the day that I determined I'm introducing myself, and what you were saying, making that cause of being one with this group and sharing. Thank you, everyone, for your patience listening.
Yeah, thank you for introducing yourself, Barbara. Awesome. This is the time now.
Yeah.
Let's send that PLAF and continuously send the PLAF. This is what we've been sharing for 4.5+ years. We've been talking about, getting ready for whatever it may come, and being able to sustain ourselves very simply on basic stuff. And this is not the only way, but it's a very simple, powerful way that anybody can do at any level.
Be here now. I know one of the things I've been praying for forever is that people don't have to be just killing themselves working so hard to keep a roof over their head, that we can do other things with our energy. And here's a chance people get to experience that.
Yeah. Work with the money. What is this? What is it?
Barbara, when did you get onto the MFS then? How long ago?
Maybe 3 years.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's been a while.
Makes a lot of sense.
We're the only species that has to pay to live here.
Yep.
I didn't understand what Steve just said.
I said we're the only species on the planet that has to pay to live here.
Oh, right, yeah.
A lot of animals pay with their lives.
because of us.
But
Yeah.
we're all also the only one that use toilet paper.
I know, but licking myself back.
Yeah, very interesting. What's what we've come to be. You know, how much destruction we've done to this planet. My goodness gracious. And we're all responsible. How can we not be?
I got to go to something great in Tennessee. It was called the Food Summit. And I got to hear, and I need to get better knowing people's names and all, but someone speaking so intelligently about helping people learn that by being like one with nature, that we got too smart in the way we're doing agriculture, and that's creating problems. And if we just become a little bit more with nature and how we're doing agriculture, that's, you know, that's a solution. That's part of healing the problems that are happening. And people making so much sense. And there were teachers talking about how getting kids out of the, 40 kids in one class, no one can talk, looking straight at the teacher, where they're out in nature and they're planting things and growing things themselves and interacting and learning like that, helping each other, that these kids start doing better in every way, reading, writing, arithmetic, good stuff. Yeah. So that was exciting. That was something that I recently got to do.
Did anybody watch that documentary? I can't remember the name. They had that kind of pyramid-shaped glass structure to grow algae, and he was had this furnace thing that burned wood into a certain type of charcoal, and they would feed this to plants, and the plants grew like crazy. Did you guys?
Oh yeah.
If you remember the name, I think I posted it. I think I shared it not too long ago. Pretty interesting. And then they burned down this place burned down. Coincidence,
Yeah.
It was it took him about 2 years, and then he rebuilt it all. But the technology that came out of that, you don't need any fertilizer, any of this, any of that. So of course, yeah, burned down by chance.
Mm-hmm.
The heat that was generated when he was looking, he goes, there was nothing to burn here. Where did this heat come from to generate this kind of damage, as they're looking at it?
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy stuff. Charcoal. Simple.
You see, Barbara, if you enjoyed the Arnold Ehret, see for he's Arnold Ehret of agriculture. Masanobu Fukuoka is his name. You see that Japanese guy? The natural way of farming. You see, that's basically, where he wrote 3 books. The last one he wrote was Sowing Seeds in the Desert, where he started to look at, how can we make the deserts alive again?
Yes.
And, so that's, and his first book was The One Straw Revolution. So he's Arnold Ehret in the agriculture field, because he says, do nothing. Let nature take its course. Don't stand in the way. Support it, but don't stand in the course. And
that's what I was hearing.
Yeah, when you get the philosophy of that, then you see that this all goes hand in hand with Ehret, with what we do here. It's all hand in hand. It's all the same. We're all going the same way. We all want to go back to source, because that's where we come from and that's where we go back. So that's if we could treat the planet that way, which we don't in this society, because we're only destroying it. If we would deal to do nothing philosophy, we wouldn't have all that what we have here. That's all the destructions and all the pollution. But that's something that everybody has to wake up by himself,
I'm hoping to be a good networker and a good studier, a good learner, so that I can help communicate and help organize. I know when Reina was telling her story of being taken from her home in Palestine, and the idea that let's create communities. That's where, organic farm, educational, healing communities where we can help each other heal, and kids can learn by having fun, and and network with people that are already doing this. And the first thing that would really be fun to do is to get a documentary happening, because there's so much good already happening. Anna Gaskin's community, the farm in Tennessee, and Dr. Gabriel Cousins in Arizona. David Wolf, the foundation he started to help Native Americans be back on fertile land, because he's understanding a lot what you were just saying, so that we can start working together and networking and communicating more and more clearly. That's how I'm hoping to evolve with that. That's my prayer. How I'm hoping to evolve with the Master Fest, so we can inspire people. Everyone doesn't have to be all sick and suffering and just withdrawing into food and distractions, that we can have fun working together.
That's what it's about. Being in service.
See, and that's where that Masanobu Fukuoka, he said clearly, because he was asked, can't we mix natural farming with conventional or organic farming? And he was very adamant. He says, you either live in the complete world of nature, or you live in the human fantasy. There's no middle ground. Ain't no middle ground. It's either you live by nature or you live by your own fantasies. And that's what happens, you see. Because even think about it, even when you look at people that do organic farming and all this, they all have their own little ways, and they all do this and I do that and all this and all that. And it all gets away from nature again. It really does. And I'm not being negative or saying they can't do that. No. I'm just saying, when you sit down and do nothing, this is when you fast. Think about it. When you fast, what are you doing? When you dry fast, you do nothing. Just do nothing. That's exactly what you do.
Right.
So nature, you're completely in the hand of nature, because you do nothing. And that's when we have the most awakening, the most changes, the most everything, when you, and just that, transform that back into your own life. Do as little as possible to destroy nature, and do as much as possible to leave everything alone as it is in nature. Very hard in our society to do, because we're all driving cars, we're all unwrapping food out of plastic paper or plastic wrapping, and so on and so on. So
we're learning. I mean, the idea is I'll take responsibility, for what I'm doing, and I'm seeing other people who are in.
I'm not criticizing it in a negative way. I'm just saying it is what it is, and it's not something that we should be doing. But how do we get away from it? And that's where I said before, there's no alternative. Yes, remember now, more and more shops get introduced where you have to bring your own packaging again.
Yeah.
And encourage you. And so there's movements there, but at the end, is that enough that we're doing or not? Or could we do more?
We're kind of being put in a position we need to do more now.
That's exactly right. We're in a position.
I think one of the biggest benefits of this Corona thing is that globalism won't survive this. Globalism was dying anyway. So we got to get back to the local. Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. Local, seasonal, wholesome.
Yeah.
And that's it. But see, and it's funny because we had that, we had that.
Yeah.
And it's just so clear. But you see, it's like whatever you have, remember, it's not what you want. It's always what you haven't got. Right. So you're always on the search for something else. Where instead of, and only when you have, look, it's like when you push past the border, oh shit, I'm going past the border, I should go back, But that going back, or hang on, we shot over the top. We need to go back to where we, that is, have you ever heard a politician or any government saying we need to move back what we did in the 1940s? You know what I mean? Like, you're not getting re-elected, aren't you? So I'm just saying that perpetuates more destruction, more getting away. That's why I say it's that vertical knowledge going up, 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 up. Where to? The higher you go up, the further you fall. Simple as that.
And I think if I'm trying to say anything that's like negative, I try to go, my daughter taught me to do this, go, you just suck it back in, go, oh, sorry, universe, I didn't mean to put that negative message out there. I'm trying to actually learn how to be more political. And I got on the board of my condo association, and oh my gosh, learning about how politics works and how people communicate. It's challenging.
Oh, yeah.
I go a little bit further on the knowledge side too. Think about back again. We look at Indigenous people. Did they write anything down? Was everything documented in Indigenous existence? It was all stories. We're talking stories. But what they did, they lived under the same roof or under the same teepee or wherever they established themselves. And when you were born till the day you died, you were always living together and you were always saying the stories and telling the stories to each other. So it transformed mutually by verbal, okay? And by, don't get me wrong, by fields, you know, because they had their spiritual movements and gatherings where you worked in the spiritual field. So that was education. Nothing was documented. It was only passed on. And I think that's all we're made for. The more we go and catalogue and codify and write everything down, the more we want to push further up. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah,
that's where we're at today. It's exactly where we are. But when you think that is that's what the borderline, that's what I say, that's our borderlines, telling stories, hearsay. But if you do it in a local community, you will get very strong by it, because then you can actually discuss other things as well when somebody has an idea about this or about that. So you can create progress. But it's not that you have to do this scientifically, you know, because we're not meant to understand nature fully. We will never do. So I think storytelling is a very fantastic thing that you learn by the elder. Learn by...
Yeah. My daughter, when she was 7 years old, and I'm sorry I didn't turn the lights off here, but anyway, she was 7 years old, and she put together the most beautiful song, saying that when mothers and daughters start being able to communicate that and work together, you'll see no more homeless men in the street. And I thought that was so beautiful, you know, coming from a little girl. And I thought, okay, what my mother knew how to do and what my grandma knew how to do is they knew how to feed us, right? That's how they showed love. They were always giving us food, making us food. Here, eat, don't talk, chew, swallow, you know, right? And yeah, so this idea of communication. And I think something funny when I got to go to a conference on the Association for Applied Therapeutic Humor. And boy, talk about heroes. I got to meet someone who's part of Clowns Without Borders. That means this person would go somewhere where there's terrorism and there's poverty and there's disease, and go up to the bad guys and go, do you think I can get these kids to laugh and play? And I was so impressed. I was so impressed with that. And one of the things that I learned at that conference is that something so good is when you have a society and people feel free to make fun of their leaders. And I thought, yeah, we're really good at that right now, you know, criticizing and making fun. We're doing that. So yeah, there's a lot that I'd like to share, and I'm hoping to really work towards this Saturday Night Live, so that when I do take time to communicate, I'm going to be, you know, sharing what I've learned, you know, what's of value, or networking, things that I already know, but that I can put together more clearly. Like David Wolf, Dr. Gabriel Cousins, who wrote the book, The Cure for Diabetes. And he said that I introduced him to the Seminole people. And he said that the 5 Native Americans he worked with don't test diabetic anymore. I mean, these are things worth sharing. And my idea to create community so that people don't have to be so alone in what I've already seen. I'm 70, and what I got to experience being, a hitchhiking hippie and that hot generation. I've had the fortune to meet some really great people. Ina Gaskin telling people who are pregnant, if you feel you're pregnant and you don't feel like you're strong enough to take care of a baby, said you can come to our community because we are strong enough and we won't separate you from being that child's parent. We'll help your life grow. I mean, what courage. And I'd love to interview her. I'd love to see her now, see how she's doing. And Kononia, a wonderful community where when this professor and his wife were going to go on their great vacation and be really rich in South America, and I might talk too much, so I don't want to do that, but I feel like this is some great stuff to share, where they found people that were no longer slaves, but they didn't have schools for their kids, and they didn't have indoor plumbing, and they said, our religion can't be separate from our lives. And they turned around and they were being shot at for 3 years as they were building farms and building homes. And they said, our faith is just going to be stronger than our fear, and we're going to have fun doing this. And when I got to be there, these children met me at the gate with a joke book that they wrote themselves and guitars and singing. And I've been places where it just feels so good to be there. Waldorf school, and I want to cultivate more of that. I want to share that more with people.
Yeah, all this many wonderful things happening around the world. It's all come to a halt right now, but let's see where it all takes us.
They said 2 generations back, people were called to go to war and build missiles. And they said, now we're being called to stay home with our families and entertain ourselves. That all less is more, and being with each other, being quarantined with, that's not the worst thing. It's not the worst thing when I'm jumping in the ocean with my friends in the morning. We're feeling so brave, and we're feeling rebellious because we know we're not. There was a police tape up going in Florida because they're trying to keep the spring breakers from partying on the beach, and we went right past the tape going, we're going where no man has dared to go. And there's I believe there's power in laughter. There's power in play, and in getting together in ways where we're not just eating and watching movies. We're being challenged right now to communicate.
Yeah, the key is keep communication channels open as long as we can, via internet or whatever other means. Telepathic, if they take that away. Tap into the PLAF. The information's there.
Yeah.
Roll it in.
Yes.
And tap it in. Tap into whatever you want. So these are some challenging times that we are faced with, and we can do the best we can in any situation we're in. We every time we come through whatever challenge it is, they do pass, and we always come out stronger. Always.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the past of things, people come out stronger. Except maybe war.
Winter
it destroys the psyche of people. Like, anybody who's gone through war doesn't want to go through anything like that ever again. If you talk to them, it's disgusting. It's total barbaric.
I know my mom was saying that one of the reasons that the young people who were being in the military now are coming back and having such a hard time, she said, if we believe every generation is the new, improved, more conscious humanity, see it, believe in it, support it, help it grow, then we realize that we're becoming more conscious as human beings, that we can't just do war like people have done in the past. We're going beyond that. We're trying to learn that our weapon now, rather than a missile or a bullet, is our ability to dialogue, to hear someone else, to help them feel good about themselves and relax and feel better about the future, to learn how to communicate in those ways with each other. Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful times ahead. You got to unmute, Hans.
Yeah, I was just saying before, Barbara, you said when you were together with your daughters and all that, and see the togetherness, the more togetherness, and think about just the energy that is between people, how positive all that is, how you can really turn it into it. And then you can see how when you live by modern society, how little of that feel resonates to each other, that we're more interested on gutsing ourselves full and with materials and consuming, but it's the personal interaction that really brings fields and creates fields that are beneficial, that positive inside yourself. You get excited if you can buy yourself a new gadget, but it really, when you think about it, a new phone has no real field strength. It has electromagnetic interference with you, yeah, that's for sure, but it doesn't build any field strength with you. But when you have a conversation, a meaningful or a pleasant or a laughing conversation, absorb that field, compare that field, than when you sit the whole day on a mobile phone.
Yes.
That's complete different things.
Oh,
And I think that's where you got to, it's a choice. And that's why, tough times like we have now increases that field strength, because they tell you go stay home and stay with your family. And that's some people are alone. That's sad. But with a lot of times, as you said, like all of a sudden dad can do more with his daughters or with his kids, and so on and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And but we don't cherish that enough, because we always go then back out and try to chase the mighty dollars or chase something else,
Oh, I saw today, I think, when I went shopping, and this woman who was a bag woman, she was a little bit younger than me, and she was anxious to come help me to the car, help me carry things. And I thought, I think if we're looking at each other like we might be dying, I thought she was so sweet. She was so open to me, and we were sharing things that we had in the past in common. The Hanamyo holding, she knew about that too. And I thought there's good that's happening right now, because everyone possibly dying. I mean, I have friends who own the Church of Perpetual Life. They're the life extension people, and they want to challenge that and debate that. and that's wonderful, and I learn a lot there. And they're all talking about fasting right now as key. But I'm seeing some sweetness and tenderness in the world right now, more than usual.
Yeah, most people will help each other. When you look at when nature brings some disasters and stuff, people start helping each other. That's usually the cause, right? People get together and they do what they got to do in service. No questions asked. Whoever needs help, they're there.
When there was a hurricane in Florida and all the electricity went out, was going to be out for a while, so people were meeting outside their homes and having grills and grilling what was going to go bad in their freezers and their refrigerators. But when the electricity went back on, there was one little girl in the news. She was so sad, because now it's like, oh, now everybody's got to go back into their own little homes and turn their TVs back on. And there was, it was a great feeling when the neighbors were out together in nature. That was good.
We had that power outage in Southern Ontario and New York. When was that? Sometime in the 2000s, early 2000s. Do you remember that? That was for days, and people are freaking out.
That was the whole East Coast. That was the whole Eastern Seaboard.
Oh man, you couldn't get gas, couldn't get it, and everything wiped out. Unbelievable. That was an interesting time.
Yeah.
Lucky it was in warm weather.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people be freaking.
crazy.
But, yeah,
I believe in protective forces in the universe.
there has to be. Otherwise, it would fall apart.
Mhm.
There has to be something to protect the peace, balance, correct conduct of that perfect,
Yes.
the perfect cycles that happen throughout all the universes and all the nature and so on and so forth. You know, every day the sun rises, every day the sun sets. Every you know, spring, winter, summer, fall, the seasons continue. Blah blah blah. There's always cycles. The moon cycles. They're precise. They're exact.
Winter always turns to spring.
We have to understand these cycles. The body has similar cycles, and if we
As does the lifetime.
sorry,
As does your lifetime. There's seasons in your life.
yeah.
Same thing.
So you know, we just, when we work with these seasons, that's why I love to do season change fasts like we're doing right now, right?
Right now.
It's
Uh-huh.
it's a beautiful time to connect with nature's change. I've been doing it for a long time, and I continue to do it because it's profound. It's very
Yes.
the season changes specifically. The other months you can do the moon cycles, and when a season change comes, if you don't want to do both, if you know, focus maybe more on the season change one. You can do either or, but I like the season change. As long as you're anywhere near that cycle, it's wonderful, and it really helps us shift into the new season.
Day two.
I'm missing Raina. I want to ask if she's okay.
Rana,
Rana.
are you there? Is she listening? She's upstairs. I don't know.
Auntie, yeah. It's important for women to have girlfriends, I'm told. And we can tell our stories to each other. It makes us stronger.
I don't know if she's listening. Anyway, she's ready. But
Mhm.
yeah, Barbara,
Maybe
what
Wednesday.
level are you living?
What's that?
What MFS level are you living?
Oh, right now, I'm with a friend who has been very disciplined in the past, but is sick now, and we're, I don't know, we're doing juices, and then sometime right now we're just playing, and I'm, I'm trying to understand, how to nurture people, and how to, in a way that's healing, that's restorative. And I think sometime it has to do with what we're consuming, and sometime it has to do with how we're relating to each other, the love that's flowing. The first time I fasted 36 days on water. And the first time I did that, I started to realize that with the food like my grandmother was giving me, it wasn't just the food, it was the love that was coming with it that helped build me. And that's something that's hard for me to put into any kind of scientific terms. But I know I felt that. I believe that.
Okay, yeah, you know, we love and respect everybody's choices and so on and so forth, but we've already been in the juice fasting and water fasting realms. We're
Yeah.
not interested in that in a mass fast realm.
Mm-hmm.
We moved away completely from that because it didn't bring us balance, and we have a new
Right.
understanding now. So we focus on master fasting, and that's
Mm-hmm.
all we focus on in this realm,
Uh-huh.
because people have shown that it just can't compare fields with matter. Juice fasting, okay, if you want to stay there, that's fine. But we're not really interested in listening to that, or because we only support master fasting. And master fast has nothing to do with the juice. If you didn't understand in these past 4.5 years, it never did.
Yeah.
Juice is one of those small aspects we use, the pasteurized juice. But when I hear people trying to do juice fast, especially with
Well, that was like 50 years ago when I did that.
did what?
when I did the 36 days on water.
Oh, so
That
you're not
was
fasting anymore? Or?
50 years. Oh no, I do. And I'm really, I love dry fasting. You know, that's important to me. It's important to, become as alive and as sensitive to nature. I'm also trying to, I'm trying to understand more than anything what love and what healing is, how to help people heal. How to communicate love, and that's really important to me.
Yeah, the way you help people heal is give them a simple roadmap to use
Uh-huh.
and go, and so they can learn how to go within, because that's where
Yeah,
the only true healing comes. It doesn't come from anywhere else, it comes from your soul.
yeah.
Anywhere
I'm
else,
trying to role model.
yeah, anywhere else you look outside, it just brings more confusion. It spirals you out to more and more and more confusion. This is why we call it the art of subtraction. Focus on subtracting, not addition. Addition will never, ever, ever bring balance. Ever. I don't care who tries to convince me, because I've been convinced in the past, and it only brought me imbalance. And I've seen it in 3+ decades to do the same with other people. When they added addition to try and solve their situations, they seem to find some resolution for a while, and then everything goes to hell, and they're going to something else and add something else, and then they goes to hell, and then they add something else. So we're kind of done with those cycles because it doesn't work. Subtraction is key, which is the gift of giving. And you learn to be in service. You learn to move things out of your energy cycle so things can flow beautifully, and allow that soul to get into that autopilot mode and do its magic. And it does every single time without fail. Addition does not do that every single time. 10 people can do the same thing in addition, and you'll find all different things happening. 10 people do master fast system, and they're all going to find balance. But the challenge is, are they willing to do whatever it takes, no matter what, no matter how long? And what we found is
Right.
people are not ready emotionally. When you start bringing up the emotions specifically, all the other healing reactions physically, no problem, but the emotionally, that's the biggest challenge for all of us. And that's what we need to work on the most. And that's what the support system is, to be able to share and inspire each other and support each other emotionally more than anything else, because out there, there's no support for this kind of lifestyle. Yeah.
But you know what? I'm watching people watching me, and it's funny because sometimes, I mean, they're encouraging me. People that are they're not ready to do things that I'm doing, but they definitely want me to do it.
Yeah, we're like a circus. We're like a circus to people. There's people in Masterfast just watching us like a circus. It's funny, but it's the way it is. They're looking for their daily drama and so on and so forth. That's why we've simplified things. We've closed it up.
Or encouragement, inspiration,
hope. So the thing that keeps me going is all the wonderful, beautiful transformation and magic that happens with people's lives, and it continues because there are the few beautiful souls that made that commitment to peace, balance, correct conduct, and continue on this path. And this is the outcome when that happens. None of us are perfect, but we understand that we fall down. Okay, we brush off and we continue. We're all here, and we keep going. It's amazing to be part of all this and watch the transformations day in and day out. Let's see how we move through this challenging time now.
Yeah. Well, here we are today, and let's see each other evolve. Keep encouraging each other.
Yeah. Anybody else? Margaret, how you doing? You want me to go ahead? Can't hear you. Something with your settings. Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Margaret. Anybody else can hear? No.
No.
What's Kurt wrote down? 03/2003. What do you mean by that, Kurt?
That's when the blackout was.
Oh, okay. I will go for a peek every once in a while to the chat. Keep playing with your settings, Margaret. You'll probably get it. It's, no. No, I can't even unmute you. Something's wrong there. Maybe you have to reboot the Zoom. Sometimes that will help. If you can't, sometimes you have to upgrade the app as well. Sometimes that'll do weird things if you don't update it. Zoom is finicky that way, but it works beautifully when it's updated. Gabriela, how's everything? Montreal?
Yes.
Still there?
Yes, still here. I am a second day dry fast for the season change, and I think day 20 master fast.
Oh, okay.
Second round this year. I did some, I think 2 weeks in between. I broke the 25, so I went level 4, then level 3, then again full. And I think I will break it either tomorrow evening or Monday morning and go level, I don't know, 3 probably for a while. So I wanted to ask you, is Ontario under lockdown or not yet?
They've closed the restaurants.
Yeah, here as well. Everything is closed.
So far, we have more than 50 people gathering, but they will be reducing that very quickly.
Yeah, so we are on the same level because I think I will have to order tincture in a near future. So
The post office is still working, but they say we have no time frame.
So yeah, so I assume the post will work anyways, at least between Quebec and Ontario. Yeah.
Not unless they say herbalists are non-essential, right, and shut them down. Right? That could happen. I don't know.
Yes.
People will be screaming because a lot of people use herbs.
Yeah, so I should better order them tomorrow. I still have for a while, but yeah, so everything is going well with fasting and life and yeah.
Wonderful.
It's fasting time for me. January to, I don't know. Yeah.
Brittany wanted to say something, huh? I can hear.
Is it muted or is it not muted?
Now we can hear you.
Hear you.
I just want to say that everything that you're all talking about was beautiful, like very beautiful.
Thank you.
So much about this time, like you see everybody running around, because I think, risen up or fallen down and stuff like that. I know I've fallen a lot, but there's been really bright times too. And I think out there in the population, people are connecting and they're aware of one another, but then like rarely are those deeper questions like asked and stuff. And now when something like this big actually hits, and then everybody kind of like looks inside and looks at like, oh, well, now we don't have these things that we always wanted to have. And like, what are we going to do with that? And so much trust in the systems that actually betray the work that is being done for like the greater good, and just everything that was already said, to be honest. With my personal journey, I know people know that I've like had struggles and stuff. I wasn't going to open up about this today, like out of like guilt, but I actually want to. I've been running, like when I'm on the master fast and I'm like centering my focus, I do okay, and I have some little strides, and then I have setbacks, and I go like literally the 180, and I like plunge back into the behaviors that are like probably like really bad things for me to do. And a lot of times it's in the evening, and then I recover, and then the next day I'm like, all right, you know what? That's enough of that. And like, even every time like I first go into like, if I eat something I'm not supposed to eat, I feel it, and then like I pause it, and then there have been times where I keep going, and it's almost like that, like once it sets in, like it's like that like chemical effect, and then you just want to keep going, but then it's like that you draw the line. So I think all the challenges I've run into, I know that all the challenges I've run into are all because of that. It's all because of those patterns, those tendencies, and those things. Like even before on this journey, when things were going a little better, but I still had, chronic stuff going on, I was always checking every ingredient. And when I was still doing like, or focusing more on like diet stuff, or wanting to focus on that before just going straight with like herbs months after that, it was always just like looking at like, okay, like I'm not going to do anything that has this ingredient or that ingredient in it. And I think once my emotions got so heavily involved and I fell off the wagon and then I stopped caring, that was where I started running into problems when I would go into the herbs and the master fasting and everything like that. So then when I go back on and I'm like fully centered, and I start my day with like tea and tinctures, and I take the tinctures and I put 1.5 milliliters of each one, and I put them in the tea and I drink it, and I go to my first enema. And I usually do it with baking soda, and because of the food before and stuff, and basically being in a state, the bowels without enemas, they don't move, and there's some tissue weakening, and there's actually like distension in my colon. So the enema themselves are something I need, because even when naturally in the past I felt the urge since this started to go, I have this part of my rectum that pouches forward and just collapses. So when I would do the enemas in the past and get them up the right way and help with the GI tract, it actually would lift the muscles temporarily. And then when something would expel down and I would get enough of a release, the muscles would actually strengthen. So I know that they're the most important thing for me. But when I would jump back on, what I started running into is when I do my first enema in the morning, I lay down and I massage a little bit. And when I feel this urge to release, it's not really strong, but it starts to go. If I really miss piece from the middle, if I miss it, then all of a sudden I pass a little solid pieces, but the rest of the fluid moves up into my middle and just gets sucked there. And I feel weird. So then today I went into a Kalima after that. And it was tough at first, and then I straightened my legs and I just relaxed into it, and I started to feel the water. It was going like in and out, and then if I just allowed it to like fill up like a lot, even though I haven't really moved my bowels solid, like I haven't moved any solids out for God knows how long at this point. So that's why urinating's hard. That's why the adrenals hurt. That's why everything's in the state that it's in. Like I get the pains up here, but when I'm actually releasing and the water's going in and out, it feels really therapeutic. Though I'm not getting solid yet. But then there are those times where I keep it going. Sometimes I'll stop it and do a little massage, but I keep it going. And then something happens with my body where I'll go to release, but I can't get water moving down anymore. I can't get it like going out. And that's where I run into problems. And it's probably from that I have already.
Don't you think it's from when you're eating all the fried stuff and things?
That's exactly what it is. The obstructions that I have. It's the
It
food.
destroys the bowel function. So it doesn't matter how much fasting you do in between that. It's not going to help.
You basically just, and that's what I finally realized. I told myself today, I was like, all right, listen, you need to relax. If you run into problems, you might run into them for a long time, but you just put the food down and keep going. And if you get water stuck for a while, it's frustrating, but that's the polarity to what you were doing before. And so sometimes I forget that when I'm not seeing things, back when I do the enemas and I'd get releases from my middle and stuff, and I think back to that and I catch myself now and I'm like, no, stop thinking of the past when that worked. Like you did obstructive things after that. Now you're going to have to deal with what comes up. And something that was empowering. I realized like, you know what, like, and it made me realize like earlier today, there was like a temptation with food, and I wasn't hungry, and I just was like, no, and I finally I simplified everything, and I was like, Brittany, the food was the problem. It's not what you're doing to try to get better. You've obstructed yourself over and over when you already weren't moving your bowels naturally. So what do you expect right now? So just keep going. Just keep moving forward.
Good for you. Yeah.
The alternate nostril breathing is something I used to do to calibrate. And it used to, when I wasn't blocked, I used to do it and it would it charges your body, but it still actually gives you a little boost of energy up here. And it was like if anybody knows it from like yoga, it's you.
Kundalini.
Yeah. And you breathe in through one nostril and then cover, and then breathe out through the other, and then in. And it just clears you up here. And so that's kind of where if I need a little charge for focus, it helps. But I finally just had to realize with myself that just with the Kalima especially, sometimes I have to massage and stuff, but a lot of times just relaxing and just almost just dissolving in my body and just letting it just fill up and release. And if it wants to hold on to stuff, it's always better when it doesn't. And sometimes that happens, but then sometimes if something doesn't go right, it holds on to stuff.
Why you put so much focus on the same thing over and over? Why?
I think it's just because I want to get it out so bad and I'm so uncomfortable, but it will happen.
With the way you're doing things, I've seen one too many people kill themselves.
Yeah.
It's just that's why we're all frustrated here, because you're saying the same thing over and over and you're continuously bombard yourself, and you're putting yourself in these situations that are not a good place to be.
That are really, and I think
very obstructive eating is not good for you. I don't care who's doing it out there.
I'm really admiring your courage to keep showing up and keep sharing and trying to get it right and figure it out. I'm admiring your
it's awesome and
courage
amazing
that it takes, and I can relate to some of the things that you're saying that I've also experienced.
And I know that's my focus, and the bad things is there isn't a reason for it, and
No good and bad.
letting go of it, letting go of it now and moving forward. But I think even when I wasn't having great a time with my bowels, when things were going a little more smoothly, it was easier on my emotions. And oh, and I thought of something too, but basically I think this is the first time like in my life, and I think sometimes when I turn to the food, it's almost like it was to numb out, but it's just fake. But so I don't even like want to talk about it anymore. But
Choose foods that are fun, not ones that numb you out. Fruit is so fun.
yeah, and I think I get scared because when I'm blocked, it's like I'm up here, and when I get water,
Stop.
I get nervous.
You're doing it again.
Yeah, I have to stop with the fear. I'm worried about like not making it. That's I think where it comes.
You have a kalima and you're doing enemas?
Yeah, I do.
Why are you doing enemas if you have a kalima? Kalima's just in and out. You'll never block. I don't know what the block is anyway, but if you're using a kalima correctly, it's a flow. It does not go anywhere. It goes in and out, in and out. Stop with the enemas, concentrate on the kalima, and stop with the mind. Nothing's going to get it's just going to be a flow. If you get the kalima into the flow, your mind will fall into the flow, and all this bullshit should stop, because that's what it is. It's all bullshit.
Because there were times where
There you go. Nothing I said went in.
Well, there are times I went for a colonic and I was like washing in and out, but I didn't release anything. But then the next day I would do an enema in the morning, and I was on full MFM.
If you're eating heavy, obstructed, deep fried foods, I don't think you're comprehending what's happening.
Oh, back when I had
system, and it puts it in a dormant state that the muscles don't function anymore in the bowels.
Yeah, but like the time I had the plaque releases, like it was weird because I was consistent with like the full for like this or so, or quite a few days. And I did a colonic, and I was going in and out, and then I wasn't releasing anything. And then I just waited, I kept going. And then one morning I just did an enema and just everything came out.
Okay, so do that what you did that morning.
That's
your state of mind.
That's what I try to do now. With the kalimas,
try it. Just do it. You've done it before, so you should be able to do it again.
Yeah, and I start with that. I do that in the morning, and I find that now it became tougher where like I spell it at the right time, like right at that second, it goes up and it gets absorbed and it stays in my stomach. And then my body has that feeling like
water
it's
cannot go into the stomach.
Or not the stomach, the upper colon, I'm sorry.
Oh, it doesn't. It does not.
Or wherever it goes. I just know, like when
you're manifesting that though. You are manifesting that. That's not what's physically happening. It's not happening.
No, like I'll do it. I really will. And it'll go in, and then I'll release some water with a piece of solid, and then the water literally moves up and
do the kalima. Stay with the kalima because it's a flush. It's just a flush. You're not holding it.
Yeah. And
so try that first.
That helped this morning, and I did 5 gallons. Then the second time I was just laying there.
Why are you doing another one? 5 gallons is plenty.
Yeah, I think that was probably what was wrong, is I did too much. That's probably what it was. Just do some and then leave it.
Brittany, I'll give you. Look, maybe because as I said, you're turning in circles, but. I wrote once on the side too, like from the moment when food enters your mouth, as soon as it leaves the teeth, peristalsis gets everything through the body, all right? Meaning even your esophagus, when you swallow, it's a peristalsis, meaning you have to understand that everything, the whole body does it, it's a nervous, muscular, nobody can explain it how it actually happens and why it happens. But it's peristalsis that moves the whole food through your stomach, through your small intestines, and then into your large intestines. Mm-hmm. And then even out of the large intestines, peristalsis moves the feces through, okay? So if you wash the large colon with water, okay, and you saying water gets trapped, they can only get trapped in your large colon. It doesn't go up into your small. Otherwise, your ileocecal valve is damaged, and then you would have a hell of a lot of other problems too. Trust me.
That's maybe what's going on, because I get water.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
What I'm saying to you is peristalsis, and I have my own colon cleanser here, okay? And I have experienced it over the last 8 years that when I uptight, I can't release properly.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. Then I have even then I have water trapped that doesn't come out until I release, relax enough. Sometimes I even have to finish, sit on the toilet, and all of a sudden the peristalsis lets it out. Okay? I'll give you maybe, to clarify it, because go and read Richard Knight, colon hydrotherapy. In this book, it explains it all to you, because somehow you got to get the knot undone. That might help. Just saying, Richard Knight, colon hydrotherapy. That's a colon hydrotherapists get that as a lecture book. So you can read about transit times, about what this, what that, all of it. Because then when you do it, first of all, stop using any additives. So, sodium bicarbonate, what does sodium bicarbonate do? It bubbles things up. You know what I mean? Like it raises, when you put it in the flour, it raises up the dough. So you're putting stuff in that are not conducive inside your colon. Trust me. No more juice, no more nothing. Work with warm and cold water.
That's what I started doing, and it helped started pulling the rest of the water out.
That's exactly right. So stop, completely stop any, in particular sodium bicarbonate. That's probably one of the worst things you can do in your situation, putting in your in your colon. So just use warm and cold water, and use a massage stick. Use a crystal, all right, to massage, because that has energy fields, all right? So you can use that to massage along your colon, your large colon, all right? So that you can feel and relax yourself. So then when you fill and release, sometimes it fills, and then all of a sudden the peristalsis does what then it washes it out.
Yeah.
And be prepared for that, and be prepared to make that triggering in you. And for that, you can read the book, triggers, and so on, that help you to do your cleansing. Don't overdo it. Don't do enemas or 5 times a day. That's completely wrong. If you have issues, what are we trying to do? Think about it. What are we trying to do? We try to get filth out. But if you haven't got solids in your large intestines that don't want to come off the walls, then water won't do it. It's the peristalsis that does it. Water only soaks it up, only makes it loosen. But at the end of the day, and that's where you have to relax and just be yourself and get your mind and your emotions right. And then all this will go. And sometimes if you feel trapped, sit on the toilet afterwards and relax. Do a meditation, and all of a sudden you'll find that your body will go through and all comes out. Simple as that. But if it doesn't do that, then don't blame and, I've got to go and do it again. I've got to do it again. Now I've got to put more salt in it and more this. No, less is more. Less is more. Remember? Let the body react to it. Your mind takes over everything, and that's wrong. Let the body do things. When it washes out, you need to let this wash out. Come out. And if it doesn't, then give it a day, 2 or 3 break until it accumulates feces, and then you can feel that. You know what I mean?
That's what did help, because there were times where water got stuck, and so I panicked and I kept doing it. And then finally I just stopped. And then when it happened again, I did one with cold water, and I just let it sit and massaged it, and then got the water out, and then I walked away. And I went a day and I just left it. And then I went back, and that's what it was. In the Kalima this morning, I didn't release solids, but the one this morning, when I filled up enough, I just waited for the body to just get the peristalsis contraction, and then it released the water from the middle. And when that happens, that's the only way you're going to release. Yeah. But all the time.
That's where you got to find a rhythm that does it for you. That's what you got to do. And everything else, the more you do it, the more you force and push, the less it will happen. It will not, because you got to find the real rhythm for yourself. And maybe it's only every third day you got to do it until you find a rhythm that allows you to do it on a more regular basis. Sometimes you have to take a step backwards, you know what I mean, to make another step forward. Simple as that. You can't force this stuff. It's impossible. As you can see, you're only put yourself in a psychic state. It's release. Just go, do it as often that you can, that it all happens naturally. And then implement a little bit more. But don't force anything. Stop putting anything in the water. Stop that. No juice, no. All these people that do all that. I've been doing this for 8 years and I've done coffee. It's all bullshit. The best releases is when you do warm and cold. Because when cold goes in, it has a different reaction, and then you do warm again. That's when you can feel something, you know what I mean? But everything else, it's not, I mean, I know there's a colon feeding program there that's a different scenario, but when you wash your colon, really, that's what the body does. It actually, in the large intestine, it takes the water out so that only the feces, only the rest goes out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you can overhydrate yourself. When I've done 2.5 hours cold cleanses, you go bonkers. You know what I mean? You can't do that. You can't. There's stuff you can't do. You just don't.
All the water locked up, then it's like you don't want too much of anything in your body, and but that did help the one time when I got the warm water like absorbed and stuck, and so I tapped into my body. I was in so much pain, and they said cold water. It wants to cool it off, and so I did cold, and then that released some of the rest. So.
Yeah, fantastic. But as I said, let's do that. And when you have success with it, let us know.
The warm water, are you making sure the warm water is warm, not hot?
Yeah, not hot water. Warm.
There were times in the past, there were times back, body temperature. There were times in the past where I did it and the water was too hot when it went in, and that was bad.
You can't do that. That's what I'm saying. That's where you got to listen and you got to study. And as I said, read this book, and it clears up. Because if you're so interested in it, then inform yourself, because information then will help you to do the right thing. Yeah. Because otherwise you just go into rabbit holes that have no end. They have no end.
The one thing that would actually help soothe is grass implants at the end of your colima. After you completely felt you can't dump anymore, do a few ounces of wheatgrass, barley grass, whatever grass, wild grass, 3-4 ounces, mix it with some water and implant that in, and then roll around, try to get it all in, and just hold that as long as you can. That's very soothing and healing the grasses, in internal and external.
Good to know.
It's sorry.
And see, another thing is, I said to you, like use a crystal, but see, I use, for instance, a wooden ball, all right, and I carbonized it. You know what I mean? I just charcoal, all right. I find that's one of the best things to actually do that. So I don't know. Find somewhere a wooden ball, or as I said, a crystal will do the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just a matter that rolls a bit nicer on your skin, except if you got a round crystal, it's a bit easier to do so. Because that really sort of has a massage effect, Just saying. But that's it. And as I said, let us know, work it, and then when you feel in the nut, then let us know. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, as I said, sometimes you have to just zip up and do until you have succeeded. That's really what it comes down to.
And just trust in it, because there were times after all the wrong things where I started to worry, did I cause so much damage and the answer is always no, that you can't come back from it. You always can, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I've not seen anybody do damage with gravity feeding enemas and colonics and colima. If there's damage already in there from degeneration of tissue, that's another story.
That's what I think it is, from periods of obstructive eating, but then like all the drugs, pharmaceuticals, and there were times felt perforation when I was in the hospital, and they loaded me up with like a lot of different drugs and chemicals and the injections and stuff like that. And I felt like pains in my intestinal area. And that's what I'm wondering, like, is how much of that's going on? Because
Who
when
cares? Follow
Yeah.
the protocol.
But not only that, Brittany, even if you care, what you got to do is, what did I just show you about books? Do nothing. Do nothing. Why? Environment dictates outcome. If you leave your colon alone and you're not obstructing it with heavy food, you're not obstructing it with any food, you fast, then the colon has time to heal itself. Even if you don't do any,
sorry.
just let it be. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. You're forcing the issue on a level. It's like somebody's obsessed about cleanliness and he cleans the same spot over and over and over. The thing is clean. But if it's damaged, as you think, what can heal it? Not the washing out. The body has to heal it. And what's the best way to do that? Do nothing. Do nothing. Leave it alone. Give it a break for 3 weeks. Fast, and for 3 weeks you don't wash anything. You're not going to die about it. It's only about, because it can then generate the environment in the colon that heals it. Because for us, what we do has more of an, there's a reason for the washing, but if you have damaged tissue, then the best way is just to let it heal itself.
Yeah.
Nature takes care of that. And not you, we putting sodium bicarbonate and all the rest of it on it. Just let it go.
Yeah.
Let it heal itself. So give it a break sometimes. As I said, take a step back, and that gets you 5 steps forward once you let the body heal that.
Yeah. That's, and like all the like extra baking soda was that, like, it was helping. And I think and that's what helped, is when I took like the day off and then kind of went back like that one morning with the enema, and I timed it right. And then I started to pull like it was like, like reddish, acidic, just, burning fluids or like acids came out. And and then like the one other thing is, there was a part of me that I got nervous at one point when I just wanted to just leave everything alone and do nothing for like a few days. But like with the pains and everything that were going on, and just with the block up here, I worried if like with all those toxins there that like I was going to be okay. Yeah, because I started to get really, really, really tired. So then that's when I'd go and take my tea and do like
Give
another.
yourself a dowel like this.
The burnt stick, right?
Round it off. One end I have it round like that. The other end's a bit pointier. For colon cleansing, I'm using that part the most. Or sometimes I just roll it. When the water's going in, I'll roll it like making dough. And then that point there, there's two points that I found that work amazingly well. One's on the ascending, one's on the descending colon.
When I would push it there, that's why some of the water would start. That makes sense.
And I work it in a circle, and then I'll just push it in as much force that it's not gonna kill me, but I want a little bit of force, and then the colon just goes cuckoo, and then you do the other side, and you give it a break, massage it, and then use it again. And sometimes you can do the transverse colon and massage a little bit of liver under the rib. This for me works amazingly well, and it's just a dowel. You can get these anywhere.
Thank you so much. And then the last thing is that one day I kind of had like that mini breakthrough, and I started to release like some of the liquids and stuff from my middle, and I started to feel really, really good that day. And so I had my little like annoying manic post that day, but I started to actually, it was strange, rather than fight or flight or just the presence with the resonance I'm in now, I started to feel my emotions, like some spiritual emotions come back, and it was a little rattling, and it was beautiful. I felt like hyper and energetic. And then some of my actually like not trauma, but some old pains and old wounds and old like things that I hadn't resolved started to come up, that, you know, when you're in a more obstructive state and you're in a stance in your life or a place in your life, you're not really tapped into those things, but they started to come up, and it felt really good. And then I hit a roadblock the next day, but my emotions started to like run through me that one day, and it was really cool. Even though there were a lot of them, it was like the first time in a long time. I think you'll know what I mean when I say this, I could really feel my emotions. So that was that one day when
what we want to see when you post is all positive stuff. I don't want to see anything to do with blockages anymore.
Okay.
We don't want to hear that cuck. We've heard so much that we're kind of tired of it, and it's not helping you at all. And if you keep repeating it, we can't help you. You have to let go of that. You have to
get you to the
solutions.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
only
like look at your
solutions.
problem, if you have any problem or challenge. Look at the challenge, and you know, decide what's the best solution, and don't make it a huge. You know, like when you analyze it, don't go crazy on it. Just you know, state what you
There's
feel.
no analyzing.
Yeah, state what you feel is the challenge, and state like with like one line, okay, for yourself, not for us even. And then state what's the solution. Like it can be a few points, and that's it. You know,
Yeah,
take tips from here and there. You know,
the water gets lodged sometimes. You go sit on the toilet, and sometimes it won't come out. You get up, go for a little walk, and bang, then you have to go. Don't fuss over. So what? The body's holding on water because it knows what to do. You're trying to overanalyze it over and over, and that's just gonna make you go cuckoo. That's what we see out there in the health field and the alternative and so on. People are trying to figure out this, that, and the other thing. They have it all figured out, and nothing happens.
And it's okay. Our colon is not exactly, my colon is not exactly like his colon, so it can be also differences in our, you know,
That's irrelevant.
It's
emotion. It always goes back to emotion.
And which is all connected.
Always.
It's all connected. But you know, sometimes, you know, I like to ask my clients after I do the colonics on them, do you feel lighter? That's my question, you know, to make it easier for them to say yes.
The biggest problem.
I don't ask them like, how do you feel? I say, do you feel lighter? And because especially the new ones, you know, they don't know. Sometimes they're like, they're still shocked by the whole experience. And some of them would say, yeah, I do feel much lighter. Some of them say, I actually feel full. I feel like things are still, you know, I'm like, yeah, tomorrow morning you'll feel much better. You know, you always feel it the next morning. So, you know, it's people are different. People are different. Some people also appreciate things more than others. This is another thing. Some people appreciate things more than others. You know, seriously. Like you have some people who are picky. I mean, what do you think? A colonic is going to transform your whole life, your 40 years or whatever? Like, come on, be realistic.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like some people are really like a little bit tough. So just be pleased with everything.
With everything that happened. And I'm sorry about that. And just like focus on the positives and focus on like, you know, how you just what the next can do, and just like kind of breathe into it is what helps me. That was the main thing, is I got scared because I got so much water just stuck and it never came out, and I started to get scared.
Forget about the water. The water is never stuck. It will come out. If it's stuck now, it's gonna be out tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
If you're doing a Kaleem with 5 gallons, how can 5 gallons of water get stuck in you?
No, not 5 gallons. When I wrote on my post, it was like a couple liters or something, or a few liters. That's like
normal. This is what we've been telling you over and over.
Okay.
The body will hold on to it if it needs to hold on to it for whatever amount of time. Why are you trying to figure it out? I don't understand. Good luck in trying to figure it, because you're not going to figure it out.
Okay, I'm not going to figure it out.
It's far superior than anything on this planet. Of your body.
Yeah, don't try to analyze it. There is no way you can analyze it. There's just no way.
When you tap into the soul, that's where you're going to see the magic. When you're eating, good luck.
You won't.
You're not going to see much happening.
Yes, of course you will. I mean, you know,
it's limited.
Yes, but we're
no.
not
I know what you mean. Like I know what you guys mean, because like when I think it's not even the frustration, but I remember from the days where I was completely empty, and I mean, my hair was crazy. It was like this fountain, and it's like my eyes were just wide and glowing. And I just was flying everywhere. I could play soccer for like 4 hours, like really fast, and not even get tired, and just drink a bunch of water, and just my hair would just shoot back up. But the way
Brittany,
I felt,
the
it was
past
like powerful. It
has
just
passed. The past has passed.
yeah,
You want it? Make it happen.
yeah.
Past, make it happen.
You just feel incredible, you know?
Yeah, write down the points that you want to do to get what you had before.
Think about what happened from that time and why you're in this state. And don't do those things ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did wrong.
Eating, just all that stuff. It was
So
just
if you
eating.
want to analyze that. That's what you want to focus on. What did I do differently? How come I ended up here?
See, this
And
is
I wrote a journal to myself about. I wrote to my body, and I wrote like with myself, and I just wrote like just a journal entry with my body, like about like just talking to it about like just the nature of knowing what to do and doing the opposite, you know?
well, this is in this realm. This is why we focus on certain things, because we know they work. If people do them, most people, yeah, blah blah, whatever.
You know, life is
They don't
simple.
follow.
Yeah, life is
Follow the
simple.
protocol. Watch what happens. Come talk to us in 5 to 10 years. I haven't seen anybody who follows the protocol not get freaking results like never ever anywhere else they've gotten. I haven't seen it.
Or anytime.
MFS stands on its own. We don't need to.
anytime in
We
their
don't need to
lives.
praise MFS. It's already been established. It's the roadmap of MFS, how it guides people to allow the body and the soul to work in autopilot. We don't even want to. We don't have to do anything about it anymore. Just follow the freaking protocol. It's so simple. If you want to continue to eat all those heavy fried foods and whatever else, because the fasting doesn't do it, it's the eating that kills you. Always. It's always the food.
It's always the food.
You know, I just noticed I haven't had the chills for the past couple hours, so I've passed the phase. And you know, you just continue to stick to the frickin' protocol. Simple. It's infinite ways you can make it work for you, so you can live it and love it. If you don't live it and love it, you're gonna talk mumbo jumbo, and you're gonna be jumping from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing to another thing, because you think that something is missing. And we've talked about that.
And why
Addition
that?
is not the
Yeah,
solution.
it's never that. It's not that anything's missing. It's that the food is the thing that doesn't belong. That's, you know.
No, okay, don't make the food the enemy. Okay, we love the food. Okay?
When you
Yeah.
we're eating,
Guys,
we love
we love
to eat.
food. Okay.
Yeah.
Fast is about loving food and loving fasting. Yes, sure, we feel better fasting, but we love food.
Yeah.
Let's
Focus on.
not hate food, okay? And let's not put food down in any way.
Yeah. Don't focus on lack. Focus on like loving whatever you do and moving to
Why
the
do
next.
we eat? For pleasure. Isn't this a good thing? It's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We hate it. We
Yeah.
pleasure.
If you can't get pleasure of any eating, then if you're emotionally ready, stop eating. If you think you're ready, stop eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think any human being is ready in one day. There's no way. I haven't seen it.
I've a handful of people on the planet.
I haven't seen it. Who?
Huh?
Who? Marine?
I'm just saying.
Marine came here. Came to us. He was dying. He was dying. He's a completely different case. We have never seen anybody who was as sick as Marine, and he did break it, right? After a year, with fruits, a smoothie, and then he went back because he knew he was not healing. So he got back on to continue healing. Now I don't know what's his.
Yeah, but this is an extreme excessive case, and somebody had the will to live. That's a different ballgame.
Yeah.
Most people say they want to live, but they don't, because they don't do the things that will help them extend their life and the quality of life. They always the opposite, just like yourself. But you go out and eat deep fried and blah blah. Okay, then we can't really help anybody like that. it's you're taking responsibility to do that, and that's your choice. And if you like to feel like that, keep doing it. But it's not going to help you getting to solve these challenges you're having with your bowels that you believe you have, right? The only way that's going to happen is through subtraction and allowing that cleansing, squeezing the sponge and washing over and over and over consistently and persistently for years, for years.
Yeah.
All the people that went for the full 108 days, and some of them that went close to it, every single one except one woman I remember, they all had super bowels after. Super bowels. Steve?
And the woman who didn't probably improved, but
She improved.
That happens in
Yeah.
She
40
has
days.
more work to do. It's that simple. If you
Yeah.
can't, solve the situation, 108 days is just, as we said, it just opens the doors. It opens the doors to a new lifestyle. And, that's why we don't suggest the 108
Anyways, yeah,
days,
we
because
don't suggest 108.
after the 108 days, what do people do? Most of them,
What do I do? Okay, forget the people. What do I do? I make mistakes, okay, after 108 days. No, it's not the way. Choose your lifestyle today and live it and love it. Simple.
Mhm. Yeah. It is. It's like, it's very,
stick to
it's
level
just,
2, level 3, and stick to it over and over and over and over again. Once in a while, throw in an extra day, but continue.
You are new. Kurt is new. But he did a lot of reading before he started. And he started with level 2. And he is already feeling way better. He already felt the healing.
Mhm.
So, I mean, start slowly.
Whatever.
Why do you have to jump?
Yeah.
Build yourself.
No matter, if somebody has to start only on 1 day a week, okay. On 1 day a week, they're going to start noticing differences. And then
Remember
they can move.
one thing, okay? We say 1 day a week, but the 6 days a week, you're cleaning up too. There is a cleaner, like we're eating clean, we're eating within 3 hours. So it's still very strict within the 6 days. So you're still also cleansing.
yeah.
Why are you cleansing? Because you're eating less food and you're eating cleaner food. And yes, you eat less and you eat cleaner. And that's how detoxification works. The lighter you go, the more your body heals itself, has energy to heal itself. So yes, when you eat less, in your intermittent fast, you're gonna start cleansing.
Yeah.
You're gonna start.
That what used to happen is if I not eat till midday or would just clean everything up, my bowels just used to just kind of like, empty and release. And I did that for like a long time. But my bowels didn't work on their own anymore. And that's when I found enemas and I realized I need to do enemas because my bowels don't function.
Mhm.
And that was honestly a lot of times, but even before finding MFS, enemas literally saved my life. Because I went for months and months and I was doing okay diet wise, but just couldn't eliminate. I couldn't move it like down because it had been so bad before that. So
Yeah. Another thing, Brittany, I would completely simplify life. Listen, life is very. It's like a fine line. It's challenging, but at the same time, it's complicated, but it's simple.
yeah.
Not really complicated. We see it complicated. It's really simple. It can be challenging, yes, for everyone, but it's simple. Really, it's simple. And it goes back for all of us, in my opinion. Our happiness goes back to, are we managing our life the way we want? Where are we putting our time and energy?
Mm-hmm.
If we're not, we're going to be miserable. If we're not putting it at the right place.
Yeah.
So that's why I believe I get disappointed with myself and depressed, and when I put my time and energy in the wrong place or focus on the wrong things.
And that's where like I come back to center with and remember, for me it was lifestyle, purity, music, art, poetry. And then when I abandoned those finer things for obstructed eating or just going out.
Go back to these things that make you happy.
And you go back to, and I go back to the piano and I start playing it. And it's interesting. It teaches me. I go back, I start playing, or I pick up the violin. I remember the brightest times, like in a pure state, if I was having a little pain or anything, I'd play certain tones and my bowels would just move, like right after playing like a G chord or something. And now,
3-2.
Yeah.
yeah. And we used to tune the instruments down. And like, so now I sit at the piano, and I sat the other day and I said, well, I feel heavy at the piano and I don't like this. So we should do something about this.
Are you going to tune them to 4-3-2?
I want to, yeah. I live at somebody's house right now, but it would be cool. It's what resonates, you know. And I found that whenever my soul comes through and it wants to just sing, just random chant things that come through. And I checked the note. I was sitting with him and I checked the note. I was like, I'm telling you, it's between an A and a B flat. It's 432. It's not in. My soul never wanted to sing in standard tuning, if that makes sense. It just doesn't recognize it. Like, it's just beautiful.
It's a stress to living organisms. Why would your body want to go into stress?
Yeah, get into it. Get busy with that.
It's the Luciferic intellect that makes people believe that, oh yeah, that's perfect pitch tuning. Isn't it?
Oh, it's, yeah. Thank you guys very much also for.
Get back on track with what you love. Put your time and energy in the right places. Forget about putting all your energy into colimas and washing the colon. Forget about that. Just follow the protocol, wash your colon.
It's your daily ritual, bang, done. Forget about it.
Yeah, let it go completely. Don't think about it.
Go keep busy.
If it's really extremely painful, then yeah, look into it. But
yeah, that's where it gets bad, because it's blocked for so long, like up here, that it's just I'm just like, I just want to have a bowel movement feeling, kind of.
It's just uncomfortable, then let it go.
It's just really uncomfortable, but it's not painful to the point. Sometimes it gets bad up here, but usually it's not, so I can tolerate it.
Last week we had Lisa on the call, and Lisa, I think for a whole year, she would say, I just am not comfortable with washing my colon with enemas. And now she says, absolutely no problem. It's been, what, 2 years, maybe 3 years? Yeah, 3 years maybe. But I think it took her a year to feel comfortable with enemas.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I have done enemas where I felt like I'm gonna faint, you know.
Colonics, whatever, cleaning your bowels with enemas, colimas, colonics. It'll be the most uncomfortable when your GI tract is full. And the worst is when there's gas. It'll be really uncomfortable. So if the foods you're eating are all miscombined and everything, you're gonna have tons of gas. It ain't gonna be fun.
That's what it is right now. That's why things like to get lodged or move around, because it's that blocked with all this binge. Oh, yeah. So it's not fun.
Let's see, from now until next week, which level are you going to live on love?
I'd say 5 still.
Are you ready for 5? Lifestyle for 6 months?
No, actually, I'd rather do 4 and do the fruit into the raw or like cooked vegetables on the off days. So I'm gonna do 4, like the middle.
Are you sure you're gonna do 4 for 6 months? It's good for you think?
Yeah, I think so. But if not, I'm gonna go
down to 3.
Yeah, and I still the other thing, it's probably because of needing.
Before next week.
Yeah.
Did you do level 3 or 4 last week or this week?
Well, I started with level 4, and then I wound up like eating the wrong stuff. Like.
Okay, and you got addicted, and it was hard. Okay.
Yeah.
It's normal.
That's what I wanted to ask, is with the juice, when I'm not moving my bowels through.
Hold on. Next week, next Saturday, hopefully you'll come back here, and we're gonna ask you, did you do it? It's okay if you didn't, but you have to try.
Yeah.
Your best. And you are not allowed to complain until you do it, okay?
Okay.
You eat every day and you're not gonna eat well, you're not allowed to complain next week.
Okay.
Next week you're not allowed to complain. Okay? if you are doing level 4 and you have a few things that you want to ask, please ask us. But otherwise, next week we love to see you next Saturday, and we want to ask you if you have done it. If you haven't done it, it's totally fine. We don't always stick to our plans. Whatever happens, but no complaining next week until you stick to it for at least 3 weeks, so you make it a habit. Okay, and then you can really complain about it if you want.
Okay.
If you know you want to eat obstructive foods and everything, go to ER. They'll listen to you. They listen to a lot of people complaining there every day. They're all plugged up, every single one of them. There's not one person who goes to ER that's not plugged up. I can assure you 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Unless we're in a car accident or something. But
Yeah,
I can still say that most of the people are plugged up anyway.
Yeah, most people are anyways. So if
one time I was over there when I wound up, like when I had the blackout thing, and I told them, they said, what's going on? Like, you have pain? They said, it's in your stomach. I said, yeah, I'm blocked. And they're like, well, we don't think you're blocked. Like, we don't know. We can do it X-ray. I'm like, no, I'm blocked. I was eating bad. And I just told them, and they're like, what were you eating? Were you eating enough protein? I was like, and I got really mad, and I was like, I'm not supposed to eat that stuff. And like, anyway, the other thing with, so while I'm still trying to move things through, sometimes I struggle with like drinking a lot of juice because I get really tired and it doesn't move. So then I'll go do my enema, but I still can't move it. It's okay, just keep drinking.
A lot of juice. What do you mean a lot of juice?
Like 2
liters in 12 hours is a lot?
Hold on. 2 liters for the day?
1.5 to 2 liters usually.
Okay, we want 2 liters at least.
Like a liter, I'm really tired. And then I like...
Protocol, we want at least 2 liters following the protocol. If you cannot follow the protocol, you're not ready for the master fast we want you to eat, okay? But you have to drink at least 2 liters.
Do you drink it cold, warm, hot?
I heat it up. I have to heat it up usually. And then it feels...
How fast are you drinking the liter?
Just sipping it. Like kind of sip it, like take the pudding and then sip it later, and wait, and then just sip as I'm doing like other things. Then I get
tired after drinking it, unless you're chugging it, and that's going to spike your blood sugar.
No, just like sipping.
And then you shouldn't be tired.
Yeah.
Because you're not triggering digestion.
Yeah, so that's not a lot of juice. When you said when I drink a lot of juice, that's the protocol. The protocol is not a lot. The protocol is just perfect, based on probably over 1,000 people experience.
So just like
we drink 3 liters a day.
I can drink,
but it's too much for me. I don't need my body.
Yeah, I don't feel like I can like drink a lot of it. When I do have like my 1.5 liters, and then like get up like around like more than that, sometimes I get a lot of pains up in my chest, and it makes me want to stop. But like, what should I do then? Like, and then I go into my enema, try to move things out. What?
Things are moving. Now, if you cannot handle the juice and you feel it's too much, it's stirring up too many things.
Yeah, that's some.
You shouldn't be doing the master fast.
Or do the hybrid.
Okay.
Because you shouldn't be scared. You can't be scared. You want to have the faith, and that's again. I said that last time. It's the faith.
I'll just let go of the fear.
Enough faith in the process, and your mind is going.
Yeah.
You want to calm the mind, and just trust that everything is fine.
Okay.
Today it's okay. Tomorrow I'm sure I'll feel better. Like just.
That eases everything a lot more. Okay. Just stop fearing everything.
Yeah. Oliver,
do you believe in God?
Yeah, always.
Faith?
I talk like really, really deep. Yeah.
Well,
lots of things with God.
Faith too, Master fast requires your faith. Everything you do in life requires faith if you want to do it properly.
Yeah, or find something that you can have faith with. Kurt, every imbalance, if you follow protocols of motion. Yep. Oliver, you clean to the level of your obstruction when eating. Then you must go deeper if you wish. Yep. Kurt, level 2 more powerful than any juice fast I did. Level 2, more powerful than any juice fast I did, is what Kurt just said. Cynthia's Invisible Rainbow, A History of Electricity and Life by Arthur Furstenberg. Interesting. What's that about?
Yeah, that all of that it's just powerful, especially when he said you clean to the level of your obstruction when eating, then you must go deeper. That's like where
That's what the new understanding. It's very clear. It's nothing to do with nutrition. It's how obstructive do you want to eat? The mucusless diet lifestyle is a misnomer. The body creates mucus to protect itself, and it creates different levels of mucus depending on what we bombard it with. Fruit, it'll make the absolute least mucus. You won't even feel it.
Yeah.
If that's all you eat.
I find the mucusless, the least mucus-inducing foods are the least obstructive foods. So that's the whole. It's all again goes together, you know. The least mucus-forming food is the least obstructive food, is the least addictive food. You know, it moves the best through us, you know, and there are different levels of different, you know, like if I eat junk food right now, I would feel horrific.
There's different levels of fruit. If you go avocado, that's really obstructive, more obstructive than cooked squash or other cooked fruit.
Right, and
if you you know, if
and
you
also overeating is another.
Yeah, overeating too. It also, yeah, if you overeat, your body will create more of a protection as well. Even if it's fruit, if you overeat fruit, like you see people eating,
squash, for example,
you know, 4,000 calories a day, forcing fruit down their GI tract. There's going to be obstructions in there, I can assure you, because they've come through MFS and they're still plugged up like everybody else.
Well, yeah,
because they haven't fasted.
The thing is, you have to understand that the energy has to go towards digestion, so there's not enough energy for the body to eat itself.
And that's where the challenges came from, and that's why cleaning out is tough, because I had that binge pattern, and that's what like did it in. Also, the funny thing today though was in my Kalima, when I released the water, like this whole pumpkin seed came out, and the last time I ate pumpkin seeds was like a year ago, and I was like, wow, I just pulled that from somewhere, and it was like really funny. It was just like, wow.
Yeah, you may have some kind of restrictions in through the colon. That could be a possibility, because was it Dr. Kellogg? He did like 20,000 bowel surgery. He said never seen a normal colon. This was way back. I don't know. Yeah, close.
You say some people's are like moving up in like all these weird directions. Yeah, because like of how they live.
So
some people have really.
How do we restore it?
Get out.
Subtraction. You're not going to restore it with doing enemas and colonics. That only is a tool that we use to help wash out the obstructions that the body has loosened up in a fasting state, specifically a master fasting state. That's if you understand what I just said, then you'll start, you know, letting go and start trusting in the soul. Because the Luciferic intellect will drive you nuts. It'll drive you nuts. And that's all we see from most people when they start reading MFS, because it's completely opposite of everything they've been taught, throwing out nutrition out the window and everything else, right?
Yeah.
We're not focusing at all on matter, focusing on the fields of the things we use. And those fields.
I remember when people were always talking, like back in the days when I was like really in like the light body stance, and people were talking to me about like, oh, but you got to eat like more like vegetables, or even eat like proteins. You got to get this mineral and that nutrient. And I was like, well, I just want to like eat barely anything, because I feel like I already have it just by drinking like pure energized water. And like, you know, it's like
everybody's shown that that's all false.
It's yeah.
Steve, how many days of fasting have you done in the last year?
I don't know, 210, something like that.
Yeah.
So is he
I'll
dead?
tell you what,
Dead?
especially after the dries, every time I eat just the grape juice, immediately the mucus is formed in my throat, just from the grape juice.
Yeah. The body's trying to release what has been dislodged, in my opinion. Dry.
Nobody understands the grape juice. That's the problem. It's dead. You're right. I mean, I don't know why nobody can get it to their head. It's dead juice. It serves no purpose but to loosen, period.
Yeah.
That's it. It does nothing else.
We don't want to do anything else because we
It
know
doesn't-
it's an illusion to try and add things that are supposed to do something. You know, the herbs, we're using the soul essence of them in the spirit, right? That's all we're using. What's there? There's no physicality. It's just, you know, the essence of the herbs and the information. That's all we're using, and they help us move out obstructions. That's all they do. They don't do magically go in and repair things. It's a myth. And if you start making those claims, they're going to shut you down because it's a myth. It is a myth, and they're right. Only the soul can do these things and work with your body to do that magic. And it does it miraculously when you remove things. Start removing things from your life. And magically, things start going in order. Just like we're seeing on Mother Earth, as we talked about, people stop polluting it. It starts restoring itself quickly. In Venice, the waterways are crystal clean. They haven't seen that in who knows how long.
And all the dolphins were swimming in Sicily, like in the rivers, and they hadn't been there in a long time, and now they're just there. It's
Well,
like,
see, use that analogy because it's just a flow. So all it is a flow. Nothing's
The flow was
blocked.
restored. There was obstructions. They stopped putting the crap in, and the flow removes the obstructions. It's that simple. It's right in front of everybody's eyes. If you pay attention, it's in nature. We're not making things up. We're not inventing anything. It's all there. It's in nature. It's in the universe.
Sometimes you're too busy to see it
We're too obstructed to see it. Yeah.
and obstructed. Yeah.
You know.
Well, these things still serve a purpose for you, Brittany. So you still have to figure out what that is.
yeah, they were bottling stress.
Well, if they were, then there should be no issue going forward.
No more.
You just created your future because you're talking as it is in the past now.
Mm-hmm.
Cynthia, electricity has shaped the modern world. Actually, it's plasma. But how it has affected our health and environment. Over the last 220 years, society has evolved the universal belief that electricity is safe for humanity and the planet. Scientist and journalist author Fistenberg disrupts this conviction by telling the story of electricity in a way that has never been told before from an environmental point of view, by detailing the effects that this fundamental societal building block has had on our health and our planet. The invisible rainbow. Fistenberg traces the history of electricity from the early 18th century to present, making compelling case that many environmental problems, as well as the major disease of industrial civilization, heart disease, diabetes, and cancer, all related to electrical pollution. Yeah, I agree with that. The electricity is the effect from interaction. You know, our body has electricity, but it's not running on electricity. Electricity is the effect from the field interactions, and we can measure and so on and so forth, see the electricity being produced. But it's not what's making everything work. It's the fields of plasma interacting. So, but all these artificial electrical currents, and now that we have all these other frequencies, everything, oh yeah, it's causing us to bring much imbalance on this planet and within our bodies. And we've adapted so much, we've adapted to a certain degree because they're all around us. We can't escape them anymore. And, you know, they implement this 5G. We're going to start to adapt to that to some degree, and the weak will die off. It's just the way it is. Because we have no choice. If it's around us, we're going to either adapt
somehow humanity
perish.
Takes control over
and shuts all this stuff down.
And change it to.
There's ways to implement all this in certain bands that will be actually beneficial. Tesla knew about this stuff. If you watch them sitting
So
with
it's
all these
possible?
electrical currents,
So it's possible to do like
of course there is.
everything.
It's the same in nature. What does nature produce electricity? What does it do? It
No,
cleans.
like the internet and everything.
Of course. Yes.
It's possible to do it in a healthy way.
Of course.
Well then,
Yes.
humanity.
You got to work to do it on the principles of how the nature and the universe works, and then you're presto in balance.
So that's our responsibility.
We can do it. We can do it. The understanding is coming through more and more and more. It's just that I don't know.
Yeah, we have to learn our choices.
We need to wake up as a human race, and
The government moved right in and took all Tesla's notebooks and everything, and all his research. The moment he died.
yeah.
It's like crazy. And then it's like, it's so ironic, like how them with like the intellectual like studies of everything, but like the truth is like when you're empty, your heart space, like what you're like a fractal of the solar system, and your heart like generates like thousands of times more energy than the brain, but they're all talking about the brain. But it's not the brain, it's the heart. It's the fields of the heart, and it sends it to the second chakra and then the third eye. It's all of it. It's all one. And they're still educating everybody in school that like you need to keep your brain healthy. And it's like, but when my brain got activated, then it's like the fields changed. It's like it's so weird.
The Egyptians didn't find any value in the brain. They used to pull it out through the nose on the deceased.
Yeah, and then the being was still experiencing that reality. Like, it's crazy. I was like thinking about how what they teach what they train us to become and do in schools a lot, or just like when we're growing up, and even just teaching us languages and the way we're taught how to like identify things a certain way. It's so strange, and in the nature of what the universe actually is.
Focus on the stars within. Anytime you feel you have a challenge, delete, go within, focus on the stars. It's that simple. And you keep doing it over and over again, you get better and better at it. You become a master at it. Just like anything else. Just like an athlete keeps practicing, just like you practice your breath work, your yoga, whatever you do. You keep doing it over and over. Repetition is the mother of skill. There's no way you're going to become an expert by not practicing anything. I haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else want to share before we shut her down? So, you know what to do now, right?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yes.
What do? Nothing.
Nothing.
Level 4. Until
Use the tools and no fear and love.
And level 4 until next week.
Yes.
Do your best. I mean, you don't. If you don't do it, it's okay. But just remember. Yeah, no complaining. If you haven't done it, you have to do it first.
Mm-hmm.
Then we talk about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. I love you.
Good night. We love you too.
Good night. Another round till next time.
See you guys.
We'll see if I can shoot on.
Good night, everybody. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you for the sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining. It's always a pleasure to have you guys, and let's stay connected in these challenging times even more. All right.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.